San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And what a happy Tuesday it is to all of you guys out there. A victory Tuesday after the San Diego Padres stole one last night in New York. Stole one in New York. What a game, what a game, what a game. You really got to see the Padres play at a level in which you see from teams that win championships. Championship caliber teams find ways to win late in games, despite rain, despite the torrential downpour, despite their best player getting ejected, despite Mike Shildt getting ejected, despite getting shut out for the entire game until the 8th inning. The Padres found a way to win. Good teams find ways to win. Bad teams find ways to lose. And the San Diego Padres last night found a way to win. They found a way to knock off the New York Yankees. They found a way to weather the storm with the rain that was coming down, the monsoon that they made the teams play in last night, which was utterly ridiculous. I tweeted it out the beginning part of the game. It was around the 4th inning. And after I tweeted it out, they actually went back into a rain delay. Nick Pivetta looked so pissed off he had to pitch in that nasty monsoon. He looked so pissed off about it. So they had to handle the rain, which both teams obviously have to do. And they went out there and they put together a great inning in the 8th inning. Guys like Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts getting the job done when Fernando, gets tossed for arguing balls and strikes. And again, the pitch, the pitch that he was angry about in the last, it was more than just the last inning. I was watching the game at the Sportsplex yesterday in between softball games. I play softball on Mondays. And one of the guys that was up there watching was like, well, the pitch that he was upset about was kind of close. It's about all of the at-bats before. I mean, the whole plate umpire last night, I think Johnson or whatever his name is, he was terrible. And he was terrible in a sense that he was very inconsistent the entire night. I mean, there was a lot of times in which the Yankees were just feasting on strikes in the lower part of the zone. And the Padres pitchers, I mean, it was just like they got squeezed. Utterly ridiculous. But despite the umpire last night, despite the rain, despite their best player getting ejected, despite their manager getting ejected, despite their starting pitcher not being able to go deep in the game because of all of those stipulations, the Padres found a way to win. That's what you want to see out of a club like this. That's what you want to see out of a championship-level baseball team. Finding ways to win. We talked about it a lot yesterday. It's more than just the long ball. They're getting contributions from everybody. And when guys have the opportunity to succeed, they go out there and they have success. Machado scorched that ball last night. 114 miles an hour off the bat for the double down the line. And then Arise gets held up at third base. And I already knew what the groaning was going to be because Xander Bogaerts was up next. And the Padres faithful just had probably no belief in their guy, Xander Bogaerts. And then he connected with a knock. In fact, took the lead for the Padres, not just tied it. Got the contributions from the middle of the order. Did a good job with pitching. Bullpen. Outstanding. Outstanding. Not only did the San Diego Padres bullpen not give up any runs, they gave up one hit. One hit. They gave up one hit last night to the Bronx Bombers. They kept Aaron Judge at bay the entire evening in New York. I mean, that's a guy that was going into the game at 423. He went 0 for 3 last night. Pitching staff was phenomenal. And man, Mike Shildt. The things that the Padres players said about Mike Shildt post-game was awesome. I love playing for Shilty. That's what a lot of the comments were last night after the game. I mean, what a difference it was from when Jace Tingler didn't have Fernando's back in 2020 in Texas to Mike Shildt. I mean, you could tell he was trying so hard to get kicked out of that game. And the umpire wasn't going to throw him out. I mean, it took a long time before they ended up throwing him out. But you saw the fire out of the manager last night. You saw the fire out of the team. Love watching Nick Pivetta pitch. But to go back to the bullpen last night for the Padres, 1 hit allowed, and it was Estrada gave up a hit. Zeros across the board. 4 innings, no runs, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts for the Padres bullpen, which is the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. A.J. Preller has made the bullpen a weapon. There's not a lot of teams that do that. There's a lot of teams that are afraid to really invest in their bullpen, to trade top-level prospects for bullpen arms because it moves around a lot. But the Padres have made their bullpen a weapon this season. I would say it's their best asset. I don't think anybody would disagree with me on that. The San Diego Padres bullpen is their best asset. And they shoved last night. If you're Nick Pivetta or you're Dylan Cease or you're Michael King, and Michael King's pitching tonight, if you're any of those pitchers in the starting rotation, you know if I go 5 innings and we leave with the lead or within 1 run, we're going to win. And Pivetta left with 3 runs, only 2 of them earned, and the Padres pulled 1 out last night. That's such a huge win for this team. I don't even care if they lose the next 2. It's still, you got 4 wins already out of the gate. Win 1 in Colorado, you got a winning road trip. But now now's the time to get greedy. Get out there and get as many wins as you can on this road trip. They're showing the highlights right now on MLB Network. I mean, there's so many plays you could point out to that led to this grit squad win. This was the definition of a grit squad win. I mean, that whole rally in the 8th inning was with 2 outs. Devin Williams continued to struggle for the Yankees. His postgame yesterday was rough. He didn't really have any answers. He was like, well, I feel good, and it is what it is. But the bottom of the order, setting the table for the middle of the order, taking walks, grinding out at bats, taking care of the little things. Padres winning games without hitting 3-run homers, grand slams. They're playing old school style of baseball. You got to love that as a Padres fan. You got a very talented team playing old school baseball. I mean, that was a great win yesterday. Great win. Dealt with all the adversity, multiple rain delays. I mean, there's a lot of things that could throw you off your game and off your groove, and you continue to stay steady Eddie the entire time. That's what makes a team a postseason team. These are the wins that carry you through the end of the year. These are the wins that carry you through the postseason. This is the experience you get. And as it's mentioned in the chat, they did that all last night without Jackson Merrill. And guess who you get back tonight? Jackson Merrill. Padres have weathered the storm. They weathered the injuries. They're now going to get back to a sense of having Merrill in the lineup tonight. They're expected to. They're expected to have Jake Cronenworth back on Friday in Colorado. And now you're just waiting on Yu Darvish at the end of the month, and you're back to full strength. And where are you at in the standings? A half a game from the best record in Major League Baseball. You did it. You did it. You weathered the storm. You made it through all the BS of the injuries. You made it through getting swept by the Rays. You made it through some of those, bad games on the road against the American League. You're back to where you were at the beginning of the season, and that's leading Major League Baseball in the record column. You're a half game back behind LA because they have played one extra game than you. Padres are the hottest team in baseball right now. Just won their 6th straight game. And regardless, I know we're going to have more rain tonight, so strap in because it's going to be a long night in New York. And we'll see if they decide to do 2 tomorrow because the weather's better tomorrow. I doubt it. By the way, everybody that was saying like, oh, yeah, you said they weren't going to play. Did you see the BS that they were pitching in last night? I mean, are you kidding me? I guess they had to play because of the weather today and the fact that neither team wants to play on their off day on Thursday. But I'll tell you what, there's not a lot of times where you go to Yankee Stadium and the other team is making more noise than the Yankees fans. There's a lot of Padres fans there. And here's the deal. This is why there were probably more Padres fans there. Probably a lot of them made the trip. And the rain ain't going to scare them away because they've invested into going the game. It's not like if it was a home game for New York where you're like, I just won't go today. I'll go later. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But that inning, I got fired up rewatching that 8th inning with sound on to hear the Padres fans take over Yankee Stadium yesterday. It got to a point, one of my buddies at softball, he had 2 friends at the game. He said in the 8th inning, they were getting so excited, they told him to leave. Now, I don't know the context. Maybe one of them was drunk. I don't know. But I tell you right now, if you got to the point where Padres fans were taking over, they were telling the Padres fans to leave because they were having too much excitement watching the Yankees blow another game in the 8th inning. Hey, the boys are here. The Pods are here. Better watch out. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I want to know what you guys think about Mike Shildt. I want to know what you guys think about this Padres team, the grit squad that they have. And how about last night's win? That's a huge win for the Padres last night. We'll talk more about Mike Shildt when we come back as he broke down a couple of things yesterday after, in the postgame. Chelsea Janes will join us later on at 10:35, national baseball writer for the Washington Post. We're just getting started here on the Braden Surprenant Show. Love to have your phone calls today. Weigh in on the chat. If you haven't done so on YouTube, give us a like. We really appreciate it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Braden Surprenant Show off and running on a Tuesday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10-17 on a Victory Tuesday. What a game last night for the San Diego Padres. That was fun to watch, man. This team's fun to watch. I love the support that the Padres fans have given to. I'm super in on sports trips. You know, there might be a lot of, I know my guy Joe in New Jersey out there is probably representing the Padres out in the what do they call the area where all the rowdy Yankees fans are, Frank?
The bleacher creatures.
Yeah, those guys are nuts. I met my guy Joe in New Jersey, a big Padres fan out there in on the east side of the United States. He used to call into the show every once in a while. I know he listens. But I met Joe when I went out there a couple of years ago, and he's just a diehard Padres fan, man. Guy loved Tony Gwynn like as a kid and decided to be a Padres fan, and everybody in his family are now Padres fans. He goes and represent the Pods out there on the East Coast. And so when I met him at Yankee Stadium, got a picture with him. Very nice guy. Very nice guy. Great family. And he was like, my dad asked him when we met up, he was like, where are you sitting? Oh, I'm in the bleachers. And my dad was like, are you out of your mind? He was like, they don't mess with me. Joe's a big dude, man. He's a big guy. Hey, ain't messing with Joe from New Jersey out there in the bleachers wearing the Padres stuff. He must have been having a blast out there if he went to watch him in the rain. And I know he goes down to Philly, he goes to New York, he goes to both the Bronx and Queens to rep the Pods. So it's cool to see out on the East Coast. And I'm all in on the sports trips too for people that want to travel and go watch the Padres. I highly recommend it. I think it's fun to do. We did it a couple of years ago, and it gives you an excuse to go check out some cities that you've always wanted to check out. Like to me, I want to go. I haven't been to Washington. I'd like to see Seattle once or twice. It'd be nice to see them play the Mariners. They always play the Mariners like during football season when I got a coach, so I can't. And it's always a midweek. And then the other thing too is I went to Wrigley last year when the Braves were there. And I would have loved to see the Padres play that. But every time they play the Cubs, man, it's like in April. It's hard to get out there in April. But I watched the Padres last year play in Cincinnati. It's cool. I like watching the Padres play on the road. And guess what? The Padres fans are showing out all the time now. All the time. That gave me chills watching that. I mean, just as a kid growing up here in San Diego, that was never the case. You'd see you'd be watching the game on TV, and Mud would find one Padres fan, and that guy would be on every commercial, every rejoin would be the same fan. It'd be like the lone fan unless they played somewhere on the West Coast, and you'd see a couple more Padres fans there. Now it's like you see Padres fans everywhere. I love it. I love it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. What do you think about Mike Shildt? He comes out, man. He comes out. It's just yard sale by the dish. Pen gone, paper gone, glasses. Got to be careful with the glasses. Slight toss. Can't be leaving the glasses in the high grass, man. That's like leaving a club. That's like leaving a golf club in the high grass. You might lose it on the next tee. Throws everything out there just in the guy's face. Defending his boy. Look, I think he does. I think he does. In the media, it gets tired sometimes in some of his press conferences. I'm not going to sit here and kiss the guy's ass. I think he does a good job, though, of protecting his players. And at the end of the day, as long as he has a good relationship with his players, I don't really care. That's what his job is. I don't get offended as a media member when players get super pissy. I don't get upset when they his Manny's always had a rap, right, of just not handling the media well. I think he's grown a lot since being a Padre. I've seen the growth just in the last 6-7 years of working here at this station. But at the same time, man, here's my view on players. Media people get so upset about it. And I get it. There's guys there that are there all the time. Every single day. You don't want to get disrespected. But to me, as a member of the media, I don't care how they treat me to an extent, as long as it's respectful. But as long as players treat their teammates well and treat kids well that are up and coming fans, I'm okay with the guy. And the same thing with managers. Managers say a lot of different things to the media. And they get pissy sometimes. They'll say some passive aggressive things. We've seen Mike do that. But as long as he defends his boys and he's got the clubhouse pulling the rope in the right direction, that's all that really matters. That's the really sign of a good manager. And he's done a great job in a Padres uniform. Those first 100 games for Mike Shildt, he's trying to instill his style of baseball. And now with them playing it, man, this team's scary. I loved Mike Shildt yesterday. That was hilarious. Toss the pen, toss the notes, glasses, toss, gets to the guy's face. I loved it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Yeah, he's ready to swing, man. That guy was, I think Xander said that in the post game. I got to go find the quote that Xander had in Kevin Acey's thing. It was hilarious. I think Xander's like, yeah, he was ready to swing, man. Shildt came down the tunnel. He was still chirping, quote from Xander. I think he was ready to fight. He was ready. He kept going. Team loved it. That was like an enforcer in hockey. Like tapping the side. You know, excited. That was awesome. That was awesome to see. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Hey, there's our guy. We got to. Joe's batting leadoff today. Joe in New Jersey. You're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, man?
Yeah, buddy. How you doing, buddy? I love the show, man. You're doing a great job.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Joe. Did you get to go out to the game? Did you get to go out to the game yesterday?
We're going tomorrow. The weather sucks here. It's so bad, and to get to Yankee Stadium is a nightmare for me. So just to be safe, we're going to go tomorrow.
Sounds good. Hey, but I hyped it up for you, Joe, though. You better take care of those bleacher boys for us.
Dude, I feel like a legend right now. You overdid me. That's great. I appreciate it. You forgot to mention how good looking I was, though.
Well, you know what? That's for the next day. You got to give me a call on Thursday after you lead us to a victory and then kick the Yankees' ass again. All right?
You know it. Hey, I don't want 2 out of 3. I want all 3.
Yeah,
I
sounds
want
good.
All 3.
All right.
We're set up for this.
I agree, Joe. You got a good ball club out there on the East Coast right now with the Padres playing out there. So I you know what? Next time you're going to a game, you got to give me a call. I need the lay of the land.
You got it, buddy. You're the best, man. Keep it up, man. I love it.
I appreciate it, Joe. Thanks again for the phone call. He was so excited. He's blowing the speakers on his deal. I love it. He was fired up. The first guy I thought of last night when the Padres beat the Yankees was Joe in New Jersey. I was like, that guy's got to be going ape you know what right now with excitement. It was a hell of a game, dude. A hell of a game. If anybody that's the first interaction with Joe in New Jersey, that's one of us out there on the East Coast, man. That's a Padres fan out there representing. You should see the guy in Philly. You should see him when he gets to Philly. When do the Padres play Philly, Frank? That should be, I think, in like June or July in Philly.
Yeah, it's the last day of June or the first 2 of July, and then they're here for the last series before the All-Star break.
That's awesome. We got to get him on for he's got to call in before the Philly. I got to know his interactions with Philadelphia. I know he's just bringing it every single time. Everybody in the chat's fired up now. They're like, this guy's great. Love Joe in New Jersey. Yeah, Padres fan on the East Coast. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Want to get more of your phone calls. Talking about Mike Shildt. I do want to play for you some sound from Mike Shildt, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. We do have a little bit of time. I forgot we got Chelsea Janes joining us in the next segment. Let's get out to Mike in Chula Vista. Mike, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, man?
Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I love seeing Mike Shildt like that last night, to be honest with you. I think he is a player's coach. You do got to protect Tatis, for sure. And I do think there's some history maybe with that umpire. I've seen that umpire around, and unfortunately, I don't want to blame umps and get on umps, but the umpiring this year has just been terrible, man, especially behind the plate. So I can see where he got fired up, and I actually like that. Little story about myself is I actually grew up a Yankee fan, going to old Yankee Stadium, watching the likes of Don Mattingly, Willie Randolph, Dave Winfield. But my favorite player growing up was Tony Gwynn, and the military brought me out here. I'm from the New York area. The military brought me out here in '96 And so ever since then, I've just been a diehard Padre fan. I do still root for the Yankees, but last night, I'm going to tell you, I there was a sense of pride last night and the Padres coming back. It's a win-win for me, but I just found myself rooting for the Padres at Yankee Stadium. It was crazy. It's just unbelievable, that comeback last night. So thanks for having me, man. And go Padres.
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it, dude. Oh, we're even turning Yankees fans around here in San Diego. Love it. Guy must have been a mess in 1998.
Just goes to show how fair weather Yankee fans actually are.
Here we go. Mets guy's got to chime in. Mets guy. Make it about me. Mets guy. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. We're going to get to all your calls today. Be sure to join us. We're going to have Chelsea Janes come on when we come back, get you a national look at Major League Baseball before we dive into more Padres stuff. We really appreciate you guys joining us today. Got to be fired up. I think Joe got everybody fired up. Frank's ready to go. He hadn't heard an accent like that in a long time. He was ecstatic. Loved it. Chelsea Janes joins us next on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Baseball coverage on 97 through the Fans, presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Braden Surprenant here on the Braden Surprenant Show to get you ready for Gwen and Chris for a short show, and then Padres baseball coming up at 4:05, pending the rain back east. Joining me now on the Braden Surprenant Show, she is a national baseball writer, does a tremendous job writing for the Washington Post. She covered the 2020 presidential campaign and was the Post Washington Nationals beat writer from 2014 to 2018. Did spend some time covering the San Diego Padres as associate reporter for MLB.com, and she interned at USA Today and the San Francisco Chronicle before covering the Padres as an associate reporter for MLB.com. Her name is Chelsea Janes. She does a great job covering Major League Baseball, and we are pleased to have her join us on the show today. Chelsea, what's going on? How's your Tuesday going?
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. Obviously, we're more focused on the San Diego Padres than a lot of other things in baseball, but we like to get an update on what's going on around Major League Baseball. Last night, Padres were able to knock off the Yankees in a dramatic fashion. From a national perspective, what has been your evaluation of what you've seen out of the San Diego Padres to start the season?
Very much what we saw from them to close last season. I think, everyone there has probably heard now over and over how many people in the Dodgers clubhouse last year, considered that division series their World Series. That was the best team they played. And, I think very much that's continued. I mean, obviously it's not quite the same team, but I think from afar, it looks like the swagger is very much still there. Looks like the pitching is really, really good, which, makes a lot of sense, especially the starting pitching that, there's some good guys at the top there. I think people around the league are no longer surprised by them and know that, that's a team that's got some edge to them.
One of their biggest assets is obviously their bullpen. Just around the landscape of Major League Baseball, it seems like, some teams are starting to invest a little bit more in their bullpen. Padres, invested prospects and money into their bullpen. It seems to be a weapon of theirs. Are teams starting to do this a little bit more than the starting pitching, or are the Padres kind of a trailblazer in this sense?
No, I think that, other than the Dodgers, I think the Padres have put more into their bullpen than anybody in recent years, and it shows. I think the good teams are doing it. The Guardians last year maybe didn't invest, but that bullpen carried them into the playoffs. The same was true of the Tigers. You kind of have to plan for your starting rotation to run out of gas. And I think one of the things AJ Preller did so well last year, and he's done it over time, but especially at the deadline, was just pile on, just get relievers, get guys who can get big outs at the end of games. And it's obviously worked out. It's continuing to work out. I think their bullpen ERA is, almost a run better than anyone else's right now. It just shortens the game. And in big games, which they plan to be playing, it just matters so much.
National baseball writer for the Washington Post, Chelsea Janes, joins us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Chelsea, obviously, a lot of other storylines going on in baseball. There's a lot of hot surprises and a lot of disappointments. One of your latest articles you put out was about the Baltimore Orioles, and they have had a rough start to the season. A lot of young players, a lot of good, talented young position players didn't address the pitching. They seem to be falling down based on their pitching to start the season. Are the Orioles in a position that they can actually come out of and recover from their slow start to the year?
I think they can recover, but I don't. I think it depends on how you define recover. I think for a couple years now, they've been a team that has considered themselves contenders in the American League East. They've won it once. They've gone out of the playoffs really quickly, but I think they consider themselves, somebody that competes for a World Series. I don't know if they can get back to that point. Maybe they'll sneak into a wild card spot and get bounced again, but I don't know how you fix pitching that is, they just have no depth. They have no starting rotation depth. They knew that going into the offseason, and they didn't fix it. They got guys like Charlie Morton, he'll get better, but he's struggled mightily. Tomo Sugano from Japan, a veteran starter, he's been great for them. But again, who of those names is starting game one against somebody, like an ace of another team? I don't know that they have that. So I think they can recover. Their rotation's kind of calming down a little bit. I think they can sneak their way into the playoffs, but I don't know what happens when they get there because they can't pitch.
National baseball writer for the Washington Post, Chelsea Janes, joins us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Staying with the American League before we head over to the National League, a lot of surprises out there to an extent. I mean, I think a lot of people assumed, or not assumed, but thought that Detroit was going to have a good year. They're off to a really good start. Overall, it's a very competitive league. Don't have as top heavy maybe as the National League, but who has been your biggest surprise in the American League this year?
I think the Athletics are probably at the top of the list right now. I think last time I looked, they were like a game out of first in the AL West. And the AL West is a little up in the air because the Rangers have been really bad. That's another candidate for a surprise in a negative way. But I think with all the A's have gone through, they made some moves this offseason, but it's not like they suddenly splurged and are star-studded. I mean, I don't think most people can name, half their lineup. But they're competing and they look really good and they can pitch and, they've got some kind of spunk to them. So, the fact that they're playing in a minor league park, their schedule's crazy, their travel's worse than everyone else, and they're still in this place. Maybe they won't stay here, but I think it's really impressive. I think the Rangers are another surprise in the American League because it's kind of wide open for them. I think other than the Yankees, there's a lot of room for the Rangers to run and they've completely fallen on their faces and had to fire their hitting coach. So that's a bad surprise. A lot could change, but I think in the AL West, there's kind of a lot of intrigue there right now.
What do you make of the Brett Boone hitting coach sign for the Rangers?
Fascinating. I think that'll be really interesting to watch. Definitely, probably more of an old school vibe than some people, former player. But I think what they need now is someone who can just kind of connect with a team that should be hitting better and kind of face to face, make everybody feel better day to day. And no one better for that than a guy who's kind of experienced the ups and downs of playing at a high level.
Chelsea Janes, national baseball writer for the Washington Post, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. To transition to the National League, obviously coming into the season, a lot of talk about the Padres and the Dodgers, probably more so about the Dodgers than anything else. The NL East always has high expectations. The Central has been the Brewers kind of for the last couple of years, but the Chicago Cubs have been bludgeoning their way to the top, and they have proven to be probably I wouldn't really say a surprise contender, but they have been up there with the rest of Major League Baseball, at least in the National League, in competing. They've had a tough schedule. Is this something that can last for the Chicago Cubs? Do you think they're one of the best teams in the National League?
I agree. They're like not a surprise, but they're also surprising somehow because they didn't secure their roster in a way that made you think these guys are guaranteed to be really good. But I think they are. I think they play really good defense. Some of their starters have been pretty good, but they've lost, Justin Steele, who's a Cy Young candidate, and they've done this largely without him. So there's some talent there. I know their pitching development has improved a lot. So the guys coming up through the system are better, and that helps over the course of a long season. I definitely think they can be really good. They might not be this good all year, but the one thing they can do if ownership lets them, I think, is they've got a lot of prospect depth, pitching depth. They can trade for somebody at the deadline. So if there's a team that's a player away, and the Cubs want to make that move, they can do it, and that kind of seal things up going down the stretch in that division.
Last question I have for you, and it's kind of early, but it is. You brought up the deadline. Is this a deadline where it's going to be a seller's market with a lot of top-heavy teams in the National League, but then a lot of teams relatively close together in the American League and not necessarily a lot of rentals available?
Yeah, I think some teams are going to have to fall apart for there to be big-time rentals. I think if like the Minnesota Twins don't recover, certainly if the Orioles don't recover, there's some pieces there. But, it's all kind of in flux. It seems like all the teams that are usually out of it are still in it at this point. So it'll be interesting to watch. One or two teams probably will offload everyone, and everyone else will kind of be in the middle, and that makes for an interesting but maybe not star-studded deadline, I think.
Chelsea, I appreciate the time. Thanks again for joining us today, and continued success.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Chelsea Janes, national baseball writer for the Washington Post, on the Braden Surprenant Show, giving you a look around Major League Baseball. Really appreciate her joining us today. Thanks again. I'm going to get back to your phone calls about the San Diego Padres. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Brandon in Carlsbad. Brandon, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Yeah, Braden, what's up, brother? Yeah, we're fired up, man. Shout out to the homie out in Jersey, from shore to shore. Who's your daddy? The Padres. Because I'll tell you what, man, whether it was Jace Tingler, Andy Green, Bo Mel, whatever the dude's name was, he used to coach us out of the Rockies. We have a pit bull now. And yesterday wasn't him just going like, oh, I'm going to step in because my boy got thrown out, so I gotta man up and have his back. That was also legit because these umps are garbage lots of the times. Not some of the times, lots of the times. So it'll be interesting to see how that folds out with AI and whatnot, although I think umpires have their place. Nonetheless, we got a pit bull. I hope he stays with us as long as we can have him and as long as we're getting dubs. And, man, grit squad, I think that's the new thing. Hey, and San Diego Padres fans, stand up. We got that team. I know for a fact because I had buddies yesterday in a group text writing it off like, it's raining. We'll just come back the next day. No, screw that, man. We're here to win. We're here to punch. We're here to fight regardless of the weather or who the team is. We're freaking San Diego, and that's all we got left is the Padres. God bless America. Thank you.
Brandon, that was a great phone call, man. Guys, fired up. Get the chat fired up. I think Joe set the tone today, Frank. I think Joe in New Jersey set the tone for the show today.
It's starting to look like it.
Yeah,
certainly.
Get excited. I mean, I'm not buying World Series tickets right now, but that was a great win last night. You got to enjoy the great win. They stole one they stole one last night. Enjoy it. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Eric and Fallbrook, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, Braden, I don't know if you recall, but I think yesterday I called and was like my biggest thing was Shildt that I was talking about, and I was so frustrated watching that game yesterday. And I think he's so strategic, even to the point to that he knows when he's about to go get thrown out, and then he goes,
"Oh no!" They tossed him. The umpire gremlins is. Bang, gone.
Speaking of getting tossed.
Yeah, exactly. Eric. Let's get out to Mike and Temecula. Mike, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. We got to get back to Eric later.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well, man. How you doing after a Padres win last night? How was that, huh?
It was basically flashback to last year. Let's see, it gets towards the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, and then we have these comebacks, of course, with 2 outs, of course. That's the way they roll, apparently.
Hey, they got to get, you know what? They must have a deal with the cardiologist in town. They're just trying to get everybody, keeping that guy employed.
I swear my blood pressure just raises every time that stuff happens. But it happens in a good way. So I want to comment on the episode with Tatis and Mike Shildt is, I tell you what, I've never seen anybody nonchalantly walk up to an umpire and the way he just said what he said and then gets tossed. You never see that. You see people barking, yelling, pointing. He just literally said something, whatever it might have been, but that was very classy. And then all of a sudden, Shildt walks out like it was a WWE event, throws his paper, throws his pen, takes off his glasses. If he was younger, I figured he would have thrown off his shirt. I mean, that guy is awesome.
That was it. Mike, that's a great description of what happened. You know what we need, Frank? We need some intro music for Mike Shildt. By God, who is that? Mike? It's Mike Shildt's music. Oh, goodness. Mike Shildt coming out. Playing some crazy rock song or something like that. By God, it's Mike Shildt. That's literally what it was like last night. I'm not really into the WWE. My buddies were in college. I've seen it enough where I could do the what's that guy's name? JR or something like that?
Ross, yep.
Jim Ross. By God, it's Mike Shildt's music. That's literally what it felt like last night. That was crazy. He's like tossing the pen, paper, be gone, glasses. Got to be careful with the glasses. Light toss on the glasses. In the guy's face. All about it. I saw JR one time at a TCU Oklahoma football game. He's an Oklahoma alumni. He's getting so many pictures taken with him. I was like, is that the guy from the WWE? My buddy's like, yeah. I'm like, why don't you go take a picture of him? I can't. I'm like, you're the fan, dude. I don't want to bother JR.
We got to get you back into WWE, especially with Survivor Series coming to Petco Park this year.
I want to get Paul Heyman on the show.
That would be fantastic.
I just want to let Paul Heyman just rant.
That would be fantastic.
I'm not super into the WWE. I appreciate why people watch it. I understand. I was told in college, I get it now. It's not a sport. It's entertainment.
Exactly.
It's like a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Heyman is must-watch television. He doesn't care. He just goes on. I'd love to have Paul Heyman on the show. I'm sure they usually pump out a bunch of WWE personnel when they come to cities and stuff like that. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. What should his song be? Mike Shildt's wrestling song. Here comes the money, 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 money. Shano, man. That's a good one. Jason and Encinitas here on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Jason?
Hey, Braden. Just wanted to chat for a second about Shildt and AJ as well. AJ, you got to give him, some credit. I mean, I think we can harken back to the time years ago when he, the Justin Upton era, where there were 9 guys on the field that were basically the same guy that hit 20 home runs and struck out the rest of the time. And, with AJ, you got to give him some credit. I met AJ here locally. He's up here in the North County, and congratulated him on the season last year. But, he's really evolved into a GM that really knows how to construct a team. And I think, putting Shildt in, hiring Mike Shildt was obviously maybe the best addition over the last 3 years. But, there were the years, I think, when he hired Jace Tingler and Andy Green and these people that didn't have experience. And I kind of got the sense that he didn't want to be overshadowed. And when Bruce Bochy had the chance after his Giants tenure to come back and being a local San Diegan, and I think wanted to manage the Padres again, I got a little bit of the sense from AJ that he didn't kind of want to be overshadowed by Bochy's history. But give AJ credit. I mean, he brought in Mike Shildt. He's a great skipper, and there's a strong argument to be made that he may have been the best addition to this club in the last 3-4 years. Want to see what your thoughts are?
I think that's a good call. I mean, here's the thing with managers, and Jason, appreciate the phone call. The thing with managers is it's not a lot of strategy. It's a lot of, you're almost like the therapist of the team or the psych of the team. I mean, you are managing a lot of personalities. You are managing a lot of egos. You're managing a lot of different walks of life. And you are trying to get all of those walks of life to pull the rope in the right direction and to play for something that's bigger than them. And that's very hard to do in this day and age of athletics. And nitpick on decisions on the field. And the thing with baseball is even if you do everything right in what the game calls for, it still could possibly not work. Contact play, non-contact play. When to bring in a pitcher, like you bring in a left-hander to face a lefty, guy gives up a home run, that was the right play, whatever. But where you really evaluate managers, and I think some of the best have been good at this. It's guys like Bruce Bochy, right, that we've talked about, where he knows how to get everybody to buy in to the common goal and for something bigger than them. I mean, think about some of the managers that Jason mentioned that the Padres had. I mean, you're talking about guys that could be pushed around. I mean, you look at, I remember with the Jace Tingler thing. I heard from players, they liked Jace. They thought he was a good guy, but they didn't respect him as a manager. These guys respect Mike Shildt. Mike Shildt demands that respect, just the way he carries himself. They respect him. And we're talking about guys like Manny Machado, who is on his way to be in the Hall of Fame, who has a big contract, right? I mean, one of the best players in the league. Guys like Fernando Tatis Jr., guys like Xander Bogaerts. I mean, think about some of these stars that you have on this team. That's why, it doesn't work all the time when you bring a bunch of stars on one team. Because they don't always listen to the guy in charge. They listen to Mike Shildt. They respect Mike Shildt. And they play hard for Mike Shildt. I mean, his style of baseball is not designed for superstars. It's not. His style of baseball of dropping down bunts and stealing bags and sacrifice, I mean, that's not great for superstars that are trying to build stats and win accolades and everything like that. High ego guys. And yet, he's got these guys bought in. Mike Shildt's fiery leadership style might be that secret sauce to the Padres' success in 2025. What do you guys think? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll be back with your phone calls when we come back. Talk more Mike Shildt on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Everybody driving around listening, you don't get to hear it on YouTube, but the song is called Something to Talk About. We have something to talk about today. I thought everybody's been as fired up as Mike Shildt today on the phones. It started with Joe in New Jersey, getting everybody excited. The yeah buddy gets me every time. Yeah, buddy. Got to get that after a big Padres win. He said it best. I agree. I don't want just 2 out of 3. I want the sweep. He wants to bring the brooms to the Bronx on Wednesday when they go to the game on Wednesday. Him and his family. Sounds good to me. Braden Surprenant on the Braden Surprenant Show. Frank Marchese is here. Talking Padres baseball. Again, don't get in line for World Series tickets yet. Beating the Yankees is just another Monday night for the Pods. Just another Monday night for the Grit Squad last night. No big. Knew it. Game was in hand. Never a doubt. Never a doubt last night. Never a doubt. Never a doubt. Mike Shildt was phenomenal. His fiery leadership, letting the umpire have it. And again, it wasn't about the last at-bat with Fernando. It was about everything else. It was everything leading up to that point. And he's going to go protect his guys every single time. And that's what is great about Mike Shildt and the manager. You don't get that out of everybody. That's why not everybody can manage as Adam Paul says, that's why not everybody can manage the Yankees. Not everybody can manage the Dodgers. Not everybody can manage some of these teams that have a lot of stars. Same thing with the Padres. Padres got a lot of stars and a lot of egos on their team. Mixed with young guys, mixed with journeymen, mixed with aging veterans. I mean, they got every walk of life in Major League Baseball is on that Padres ball club. And they are playing together, and they're playing as a tight-knit group, and that's why they're racking up wins, 6 straight after beating the Yankees last night. And they're catching the Yankees at the right time. I mean, this ain't the Yankees that are on full strength, but you know what? It's not who you play, it's when you play them. And they're doing the job that they need to do right now. And tonight's going to be Michael King. Michael King back in the Bronx for the first time. That's going to be interesting to see. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. I'm excited to watch Michael King back in the Bronx. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I want to get back to your phone calls. How excited you are for the Padres after the win last night. It was a great win, Padres fans. It's a great win. Let's get out to Drew in San Diego. Drew, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Man, Braden, classic game last night, brother. It's one you're going to remember. Horrible weather, horrible umpiring, horrible base running decision. Sheets trying to sing Can't Be Home. This is why you don't turn off the games. Shildt getting thrown out. Tatis telling the calmly, what a terrible call he's been calling. And then for the Grit Squad to pick him up, Manny and X. Amazing game, man. Love this team.
It's a fun team to watch, Drew. I appreciate the phone call, my guy. It is. This team's fun. You can't turn it off. Now, when they were not at full strength, there was a couple times you could have turned it off. But, it's a little bit different of a team. But now that they're at full strength, and by the way, we haven't even talked about it that much. Guess who's back? Back again. Merrill's back. Tell a friend. The whole thing is about Jackson Merrill. That guy's Mr. Grit himself. Grit Squad man number 1. Jackson Merrill didn't even play last night. That guy's back tonight. You're welcome, Drew. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. Jackson Merrill's back tonight. They've weathered the storm, Padres fans. They've weathered the storm. They get Cronenworth back later in the week. I mean, they were able to do this without Jackson Merrill. He's like their spark more times than not. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Kevin in Chula Vista. Kevin, what's going on, man?
You know, Braden, that tirade by Mike last night harkens back to those of us who can remember the days of Billy Martin, Earl Weaver, to name a few, Tommy Lasorda, Bobby Cox. Don't see much of that anymore. I think that if the Padres PR staff are listening, they need to take that video, and that should be their prime promo video for the rest of the year on the Fighting Friars. And it's just wonderful to see. It was I don't know about your phone, but my phone blew up. I think that a lot of phones were blowing up at the same time with what was going on in that field, and it was just great theater. And it's what's missing in baseball a little bit now, with the homogenization of the game. But good for everybody, good for the Padres, good for the fans. Keep it up, and let's have some more fun. What do you say?
Absolutely, Kevin. Appreciate the phone call. Team's fun to watch, man. They're fun to watch. I don't know what I jinxed, but people are all upset in the chat. I'm trying to keep up with the chat. I can't. You guys are commenting all the time. I don't know what's going on. Padres last night was a great win last night. Exciting game. In the rain, BS with the umpire, all that stuff. And they went out there and showed out. I mean, that's you get excited for wins like that. I mean, that's you don't see wins. You don't get too many of those in a regular season. Now you got to build off of it. Continue this run for the Padres. Padres are trying to get their second 7-game winning streak of 2025. They've only done that multiple times, I think like twice or whatever like that. I got to look at Kevin Acey's piece here. It might be in the tidbits. A victory today would give the Padres their second 7-game win streak of 2025. The Padres have had 2 winning streaks of at least 7 games in a single season just 5 times in the franchise's 57-year history. See if the Padres can get it done. They got Michael King on the hill today going against the New York Yankees. We talked about it yesterday with Eric Boland, a guy that grew up a Yankees fan, that was drafted and developed by the New York Yankees, who's got a lot of friends and family in the Northeast area that thought he was going to be a Yankee forever, that was devastated when the Padres acquired him. I mean, not that the Padres acquired him. He was devastated the Yankees traded him away. He's found a new home in San Diego, and now he gets to go out there and shine in front of his friends and family against the team that traded him away. That's good. That's a storyline right there. You know, we'll talk about that a little bit later. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Out in the desert of Arizona, Jacob in Phoenix. What's going on, Jacob?
Hey, Braden. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. A lot better after a Padres comeback win yesterday. That was nice.
That was an exciting one, man. My heart was beating the whole time after the 7th inning.
You know what? Keeping the cardiologists employed in Phoenix, too, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, I wanted to touch on something real quick. I thought this was cool. I was surfing the numbers for our pitching staff yesterday, and I saw that the Padres pitching staff is the only staff left in the league who has allowed fewer than 100 runs so far this season.
Yes. That's impressive. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. It's May. Yeah, that's right. They have the best bullpen ERA, and they have one of the best pitching staffs. And yeah, we talked a little bit about that yesterday when it was 94. Give 3 runs yesterday. 90 was 95. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. Padres relievers, to add on to what Jacob said, Padres relievers have not allowed a run in the past 3 games. It's 11 2/3 innings. After allowing at least 1 run in 5 games before that. The Padres bullpen ERA is the best in the majors with a 1.68 ERA. The next best team is the San Francisco Giants. Their bullpen ERA is a 2.51. 8 shutty for the Padres pitching staff. Definitely helps with that number. They have turned their bullpen into a weapon. And they've done a great job in building the roster out. The Padres have. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Eric in Fallbrook, hopefully with a better connection this time. What's going on, dude?
Hey, good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, gotcha.
Oh, thank God. I'm driving down to the airport, so like, man, I can't figure this thing out. But yeah, just touching on Shildt. I think Bogey. They asked him a question, and Bogey was like, "Yeah, he had the gloves on. He's probably in the locker room waiting with the gloves on. So I'm glad he's willing to fight for us." But I touched on it yesterday, and I think it was great because the whole time I was yelling at the like the whole time, like I was just like, "Wow, this is atrocious." I think Mud even was like, "Wow," like he was like, "Wow." It was like very very early on. And I think also Mike is selective on the time of when he does it because he knows that we're probably going to get this up again later, correct? So I think he's just playing the game. Weirdly enough, I wouldn't say he was the MVP of last night, but he was kind of the spark that lit the team, and then the guys executed. So I've been on Mike since last year, since we turned it around, and I hope we can keep him. The guy's just something we need, and the boys want to play.
And we lost Eric again. Eric, going to the airport. I agree with what you're saying, though. I mean, Mike Shildt's done a great job. Eric wants to keep him as long as they can. He's done a tremendous job, Mike Shildt. And when we come back, we'll hear from Mike Shildt after last night's victory over the New York Yankees. What he had to say about his and Fernando's ejections, and obviously a little bit about how he thought his ball club handled the weather. Coming up next on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. 67% of companies want to increase contract talent. That's why our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI work quickly to find the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Coming up at 12:40, we'll have our midday sports standoff for a chance to win our grand prize to see Bruno Mars in Las Vegas. Be sure to be in line for that. We'll also get to our sports thread here at the end of the 11 o'clock hour, as we lead you up to Gwen and Chris, who have a short show again today, as Sam Levitt, hopefully not too much extra coverage as he has done this entire road trip. We'll have the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:05. First pitch, Yankees, Padres. 4:05. Michael King getting the ball today for the San Diego Padres. See if the Padres can build off the momentum of last night. Speaking of last night, first time that we've seen Fernando get ejected this year, and Mike Shildt. Mike Shildt met with the media after last night's game to kind of take us through what happened on his and Fernando's ejections last night.
So Toddy, I thought, handled it very well in the sense of, and I'll start by saying this. I mean, look, it's a hard job. I've got good relationships, great relationships with, and respect, and the body of work speaks for itself, which I'll get to in a minute. But with umpires, and Toddy had some pitches that I didn't agree with earlier. I had made my comments from the dugout known, which I don't do a ton. But did it, walks away, hand over his mouth, and next thing you know, he's ejected, walking away with his back turned for his first major league ejection. And then there's a comment about, which I won't even share the comment. All I can say is this. We'll talk about track record. I don't have players that I've managed for a long time now, minor leagues, big leaguers. I don't have players that get ejected. My job's to do, and I don't get ejected a lot. All right. So, but I probably have the fewest amount of player ejections in my time managing. So our players play, they stay in the game. They're very respectful, rightfully so, to the umpires. I have the majority of the league that over the course of many years have been complimentary about how our players respect them, and me and our staff respect them. But he made a decision. He threw him out. I let the body of the work for the umpire grade speak for itself, and we'll leave it at that.
Well, interesting comments right there laying out about Mike Shildt and the ejection history. Mike Shildt's been ejected a grand total of 15 times in 6 years as a major league manager. He got ejected 4 times last year. Been ejected once this year. He's been ejected 5 times total for the Padres. And in 4 years as manager for the Cardinals, he was ejected 10 times. Twice in 18, twice in 19, once in 2020, and 5 times in 2021. But as he alluded to, when you look at his track record, he'll go out there and fight for his guys, and he hardly ever has players get ejected. Now, for Fernando's first ejection to be like that is kind of ridiculous. It's not like he embarrassed the umpire. He obviously told him what he felt, probably said some words that cannot be uttered on the airwaves, and then walked away. I mean, don't make it about you, umpire. He did okay. I mean, you look at his overall grade yesterday, it was okay according to the umpire scorecard. But he wasn't that great below the strike zone. He wasn't that great at all. That was built up frustration of probably the last couple of games for Fernando, not just last night. Because he's been getting hosed on a lot of pitches lower in the zone. In fact, Kevin Acee even mentioned that in his daily newsletter today. According to the strike zone box on MLB.com, the pitch Johnson, who was the home plate umpire last night, called strike 2 against Tatis in the 8th inning, nicked the bottom of the zone. Johnson was horribly inconsistent last night on pitches in that location. Yes, he was. Of the 14 pitches that were, according to the box on MLB.com, inside the lower edge of the strike zone, Johnson called 10 of them balls. That included a handful that seemed to be higher than the one that called a strike on Tatis. Further, Tatis has had a rough week with pitches in that vicinity. On Saturday, he had a pitch below the zone called a strike as part of a strikeout. On Tuesday, he had strike 1 and strike 3 called on pitches low and or away outside the zone. This is what Fernando had to say. I think I've been seeing the ball really well, so I think I have an idea of what's a ball and a strike. We have not been on the same page for the last couple of games, but we've got to deal with it, so I'm probably going to have to swing out of it. Yes. It is what it is. I mean, he wasn't that great last night. I'm glad Shildt went out there and defended his guy. You know, Tatis getting ejected there was kind of ridiculous. And to ask, and like last night, I was sitting there thinking, like, well, he's got to be better than that and try to stay in the game. But at the same time, it's not like he blew up, tossed his helmet, like, you know. He did handle it with a lot better class. I mean, he covered his mouth so nobody could see what he was saying. He just said it to the umpire. Probably still wasn't great, but probably not worth that much of an ejection. And you know what? After the week that he's had, maybe he can afford to have an ejection. I mean, at that point in the game, he wasn't going to come back up again. You lose him in right field, but I think the Padres are fine having, for an inning and a half, not having Fernando in the line. It's not a bad spot. Really walked over, basically told him he sucked, and then walked into the dugout ejected. Don't make it about you, bro. Johnson. Not his best. We'll see him today. He'll be umpiring third base. Mike Shildt also talked about the weather last night and the weather conditions. I don't know why I get why they played. Today's going to be just as bad, and both teams are heading west after Wednesday's game, so obviously you don't want to burn one of their off days before they head in their separate directions. But here's what Mike Shildt had to say about the weather conditions last night.
That's a tough job, man. The weatherman is playing weatherman for baseball games is really, really hard. We've had games where you cancel it because of the forecast and you go home and you don't get a drop. You also recognize, especially for the integrity of the schedule, that the league has a real desire, especially the first game of the series, to get it in with some potential rain coming the next couple of days. And so, it is what it is. The field was playable. It drains really well. It's a great surface. And so we had the window that closed a little bit for a while and opened back up and then started closing at the end. And Suarez made sure it stayed closed at the very end.
Hard to be the weather guy. I agree. I understand why they played the game. Weather did not look great last night. Again, the weather tonight's not expected to be great either. Expecting thunderstorms in the evening. Kevin Acey had in his news. This is what he put in his newsletter. It could have been updated by now. Tuesday, a chance of showers before 8 a.m., then showers likely and possible, a thunderstorm between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., then a chance of showers and thunderstorms after 5 p.m., patchy fog, otherwise cloudy, with a high near 68. Southeast wind around 10 miles an hour. Chance of precipitation is 70%. New rainfall amounts between 1/10 and 1/4 of an inch, except higher amounts possible. And thunderstorms. Tuesday night, a chance of showers and thunderstorms before 8 p.m., then showers likely, and possibly a thunderstorm between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m., then a slight chance of showers after 2 a.m., patchy fog, otherwise mostly cloud. Doesn't sound great. Sounds better, doesn't sound great. And Nick Pivetta had a pitch through a monsoon in the fourth inning. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe that they continued to do that. Weather brought to you by Beaver Nuggets. Like it. To the point where, like, Pivetta, who's already, like, super... No, he's got the red ass, right? I mean, he's just super competitive and fiery all the time. He was physically walking or jogging to Elias Diaz to get the ball placed in his glove because it was raining so hard so we can get a grip on it. And then in that fourth inning circus, in which I don't think they didn't give up any runs that inning, which is honestly surprising. And just sitting there going like, they can't throw the ball down the second. Every pitch that Pivetta has, I mean, his command was incredible with the circumstances. But you're sitting there going like, I can't believe they're playing this right now. Had to get the game in. Just had to get it in. Just in case. That being said, Nick Pivetta, even though he gave up 3 runs, only 2 of them earned, he's got a 2.01 ERA on the year. Went 5 innings last night, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. Did give up the home run to Trent Grisham. Is he the steal of the offseason? We'll answer that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3, The Fan. 11:34 on a Tuesday. Padres knocked off the Yankees last night, 4-3, a comeback in the 8th inning. What an exciting game that was. Fun to watch. Mike Shildt got all fiery, threw his pen, threw his hat. Or not his hat, his paper, threw his glasses. He was running out of things to throw in his little breakdown with the umpire. I thought Nick Pivetta did a pretty good job last night, considering the circumstances. He has been tremendous all season long. 7 games started. He's 5-1 with a 2.01 ERA, over 40 1/3 innings pitched, 44 strikeouts, 12 walks. He has held opponents to a .183 batting average. He's got a 0.94 whip, and he has 9.82 strikeout per 9. He might be the steal of the 2025 free agency. AJ Preller continues to work his magic on players like Nick Pivetta. I mean, what the Padres have been able to do with their starting rotation on adding players via trade, on picking up players via free agency, on international signings, has been remarkable. I love watching Nick Pivetta pitch. He's so just his competitive edge, his fieriness. He's just constantly just going after everybody. I mean, he's got that give me the ball and give me their best 3 and let's get after it kind of mentality. Here is what Mike Shildt said about Nick Pivetta's outing yesterday.
I thought he was good, man. I thought, like I said, it was representative and starts on the mound a lot of times where you just show up and regardless of circumstance, I think he's going to compete. He's the great model for that. He's going to get after it. And short delay, went out, finished out, which don't forget that part of it. Gets out of the 4th with some traffic after a 20. He was off the field for 28 minutes, like a longer inning. We knew we weren't going to have too many more bullets with him, like the matchup with Goldie, and then we brought Yuki in, obviously. But I thought Nicky was really good again and competed his tail off.
He did. He's bringing that edge. I think he's the number one. He's their best pitcher right now. I didn't think he's that particularly good. Michael King's been pretty good too. And you got Michael King going tonight. Yet as it said in the chat, and I totally agree, Frankie Watkins puts it in the chat, Pivetta's attitude makes me want to give him the ball game 1 of a playoff series. 100%. 100%. If you were getting ready for a playoff series right now, I mean, this is the order you would have. Would you not? Waiting on you, Darvish, obviously. But you got a playoff rotation against the Yankees right now. I'd go Pivetta game 1. I'd go King game 2. You probably go with Dylan Cease game 3. And then you Darvish game 4 when he's back. And if it's not you, then, I mean, out of the 3 pitchers you got left of either Hart, Vasquez, and Kolek, it's probably Kolek. He's looked the best. It's a small sample size, though. I'd go Pivetta game 1. I like his intensity. I like the way he's pitching. Especially for the games at Petco Park. I definitely want to see Pivetta go game 1. I mean, he has been almost unhittable at Petco. The Giants got him a little bit. They had the tipping pitches kind of situation that John Boy ended up doing a breakdown on. I'll have to go watch that. But I like Pivetta going number 1 and King going game 2, just like how it's set up right now. You're getting a playoff series rotation right now in the first couple of games of the series in New York. And I'm excited to see Michael King pitch tonight. We're going to talk about King in the next hour. Met with the media yesterday to discuss being back at Yankee Stadium for the first time. But the pickup of Nick Pivetta, with his contract he's getting paid $2.5 million this year. $20.5 million next year. He's got an opt-out in 2027, which at this rate he might take, and he's got a player option in 2028. But he at least got him for the next 2 years. And only having to pay him $2.5 million this year, is remarkable. Now, that's not what gets charged to the AAV, which is obviously important. Padres do want to keep their current payroll down, though, on top of the AAV. That's why they have the $2.5 million this year. I mean, Michael King's getting $4 million. He's not getting a lot of money either. But Nick Pivetta on the Padres, 2.5. He's getting 13.75 towards the AAV and a 2.5 million this season. What a steal! What a steal of the offseason. We didn't get to it yesterday, but they had executives vote on the best free agent addition this offseason, and a lot of people voted for Pivetta, and I would too, with the way everything's going. His metrics are great. The way he pitches is great. I think his energy is great. I mean, what a find for A.J. Preller that on paper, when you brought him in, was going to be your number 4 starter. I mean, he's pitching like an ace right now for the San Diego Padres. And if he does pitch like an ace, in which you want to play him game 1 of a playoff series, which I wouldn't mind, I'd be all for it. All that does is move everybody else down a spot, and now you have another ace-level pitcher in Michael King as your number 2. I mean, Dylan Cease, your number 3. One of those 3 guys is your number 3 in a playoff series. It could be any of them. And then Yu Darvish, an older ace, who's expected to be back by the end of the month, might be your game 4 guy. That's insane. And with the bullpen you have, that's a lockdown pitching staff. And we haven't got to the trade deadline yet. And who knows what A.J. Preller's got up his sleeve at the trade deadline. You got to be excited if you're the San Diego Padres right now. You got to be excited if you're a Padres fan right now. You got good starting pitching. You have a weapon for a bullpen. You got guys contributing all through the lineup. You got a manager that's fiery and gets after it. And you've already seen some top competition in Major League Baseball. I mean, the Padres they've already finished the season series against the Cubs. They split 3-3. Solid. They haven't played the Dodgers yet. They get to play them 13 times. Diamondbacks are starting to come back down to earth. Played the Giants, one of the better teams in the National League. Handled them easily. Need to play Philly and the Mets. But you've already taken on the best teams in the American League. I mean, even the A's. The A's are 20-16. And a game out of first place. Padres took 2 out of 3 from the A's. Lost 2 out of 3 to Houston, but weren't at full strength. They played the Tigers not at full strength, still able to get a win against them. They swept the Guardians. They're playing the best team in the AL East right now, the New York Yankees. And the only kind of fluke of a series was against Tampa Bay. And again, didn't have anybody back. This Padres team is built for a lot of success. I said it last week. You saw it when they got healthy again against the Giants and then handled business. You've seen it over the last 6 games. I think you're going to continue to see it as the season moves on. A.J. Preller is finally putting together a team that fits together too. And a guy like Nick Pivetta fits this team and fits this mold of the San Diego Padres. And a team that I think San Diego could be proud of. Just the way they handle business, the way they go about everything. Rack up some wins here in May, and then get ready for the true tester in June. Because when you go to June, that's going to be your real first, kind of second test of adversity. I think you got a little bit of it with the injuries, but the teams you got to go against in June, that's going to be a big tester. If you roll through that, there's not a lot of teams in Major League Baseball that can handle you in a 7-game series. And there's not many times in Padres history that you can say that. Got to be excited for I'm so excited. Who's not excited for the game tonight? So excited. I mean, the Padres are must-watch television. They're must-listen radio. They are appointment setting. Appointment listening, appointment viewing. You don't want to be doing anything else when the Padres are playing. You feel like you're going to be missing out on what's going on. I mean, everybody in San Diego is just like dialed into the Padres right now, as they should be. Half game behind the best record in Major League Baseball. There's other stuff going on in the sports world, though. And it's time for our sports thread with Frank Marchese.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, here's Frank. Turn your mic on. Come on.
There it is.
Oh, my God.
It was such a good day, right?
It was. You were getting the props for the great ticker we have in front of us from Sushi Sam in the chat. We had first ring for Chelsea today. We were on a thing was dialed last night, rundown, everything like that. I guess, nobody's perfect.
It was a good day right up until it wasn't.
Number 1.
Speaking of having a better day, it's kind of becoming a thing now where we're following the recovery of the Pittsburgh Pirates fan who fell last Wednesday. The update that I gave yesterday, that was from Saturday. So there had been a couple of days in between. We did, however, get an update from Jennifer Phillips last night. Announced that Mark Wood's recovery is, quote, a slow process, but seeing him up and moving is a huge win and definitely lifted everyone's spirits. Mark Wood, this is the first time we're getting to hear what actually happened, what Mark Wood actually suffered. He suffered a broken neck, broken collarbone, and back during the fall, and amazingly, less than a week later, is up and walking.
Wow.
The GoFundMe has now reached $41,000, but great news continuing to pour out of Allegheny General Hospital.
That's good news. Avoided a very disastrous situation that I think struck a lot of people and seeing it on social media, and hopefully he continues to recover and continue to progress. A very scary scene in Pittsburgh before the Padres showed up.
Absolutely.
Number 2.
The Baltimore Ravens made the, quote, tough decision yesterday to release kicker Justin Tucker from his contract after 13 years with the team. The decision comes amidst an investigation into sexual misconduct charges that have been filed against Tucker by 16 massage therapists from high-end spas in the Baltimore area. The Ravens initially said they would wait on the decision on Tucker until after the NFL's investigation was completed, but the future seemed locked in after Baltimore took kicker Tyler Loop in the 6th round of this year's NFL draft. Braden, why do athletes continue to think that they will not face repercussions for their actions?
Because people that get a lot of money think they're indestructible, and it's power. And they have this like lust of power, and they think they could do whatever they want, and they think that they can control people, and it's just not going to work. Why? I mean, how many times have we seen these guys just throw away their career and their life to do something stupid?
Exactly.
I mean, it's stupid. It's like, what? First of all, you should be treating people like that anyway.
100%.
Second of all, you have so much to lose. Like, what are you doing? Anybody advise these guys? Like, what? I mean, it's happening all over the place. It will continue to happen. And just because you seem to be at the top of the game and have a lot of money, you're not indestructible, and you're not better than everybody else.
And I think a lot of it also goes back to, and this is me going from personal experience, I don't know if it's changed since you're in high schools often, but I remember going to high school, the varsity players, whether especially football players, got away with murder just so they could be on the field come Friday night or on the court come whenever the next basketball game was. So it's kind of taught at an early age, yeah, if you're good at a sport, especially football, that you're going to be able to get away with stupid stuff like, and it's
well,
just
a lot of these athletes
stupid.
for their entire life have been told they're the greatest thing on the face of the earth, and
Exactly.
people have looked the other way for a lot of these people. Throughout high school, and the same thing in college, and the same thing for a long time in the NFL, and then eventually, it all catches up to you eventually. We had our head coach Sean Doyle say that to us when I was a player at Cathedral, and it happens all the time. I see it all the time with people that do bad things. Eventually, it catches up to you. So if you're doing something right now that's is wrong, and you might be getting away with it right now, I'm telling you, you better stop, because you're gonna get yours eventually. And I abide by it from a positive standpoint, as Brock Ungrich says, and I believe this. Again, it could be on the karma thing. Good things happen to good people.
Yep.
Go do good. Go be good. And good things will happen to you.
Absolutely.
Number 3.
The Los Angeles Clippers are back in the news for not the smartest of reasons. Clippers president of basketball operations Lawrence Frank said yesterday that he is sticking with his aging stars Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. Leonard only played 37 games this season and is going into the offseason healthy for the first time in 5 years. Harden picked up a lot of the slack, played 79 games this season, and was solid, scoring 22.8 points per game and collecting 8.7 assists per game. But he is now going into his age 36 season next year. The Clippers already have the oldest roster in the NBA, is continuing to build around two 34-plus-year-old stars, the direction that the Clippers really should be going down.
I would keep Kawhi and I'd let Harden walk. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what James Harden's got left. At least you got some connection with Kawhi Leonard and San Diego and being close to San Diego and Southern California. And he actually showed up. The problem is he never plays the entire year.
Yeah, he didn't.
So you got to be able to
until January this year.
You're paying him a lot of money to just basically play in the postseason and then hope that the rest of your team can get you in the playoffs. But the way the NBA playoffs is set up, there's a lot of teams that make it. So just got to be better than the bottom half of the NBA, and then you get Kawhi back. So I don't know if it's the best plan. I don't think keeping Harden's a great idea, but Kawhi Leonard, I like Kawhi.
It's not the best plan, but it is certainly an plan.
Number 4.
After getting knocked out of the playoffs for the 4th consecutive year by the Edmonton Oilers, all 4 years, the LA Kings have decided to make a change. The Kings announced that general manager Rob Blake will not be returning to the general manager role next year. Blake became the Kings general manager in 2017 and did not have a contract beyond this season. Blake, a former Kings defenseman, led at Los Angeles to 5 playoff appearances in his 8 years pulling the strings. You can make the argument that Blake kept getting them to the playoffs, so he earned at least another short-term extension. But have the Kings gotten to the point where the results outweigh the appearances, or should they have given Blake another chance?
It's, again, back to the expectations, what the team's supposed to be. If your expectations are to win in the postseason, then he has failed his job of winning in the postseason, and therefore he has been fired. If just getting to the postseason is satisfactory to an organization like the LA Kings, then you keep him. But I don't think just making the postseason is satisfactory to the LA Kings, and that's why they decided to make a change.
2 Stanley Cup championships in the last 15 years.
That's right.
Number 5.
I will go quick on this one. The MLS power rankings are out for this week, and there were some small changes in the top 3. The Vancouver Whitecaps continue their hot start with a win over Real Salt Lake on Saturday and hold on to the top spot in the power rankings with the Columbus Crew, who San Diego has already beaten, and Inter Miami swapping 2nd and 3rd in the ratings this week. Philadelphia Union and Seattle Sounders round out the top 5, with San Diego FC dropping from 8 to 9 with their win against Dallas. Fair to drop them coming off of a 3-game losing streak?
Well, 3-game losing streak. I thought snapping it could keep them at the same spot. They only play once a week, but a lot of season left in the MLS. Grit Squad is open for business. Talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Lunchtime hour on the Fan. The Braden Surprenant Show as we continue on this Victory Tuesday. What a game last night. What a game, what a game, what a game. Getting you ready for Padres baseball game 2 at Yankee Stadium against the New York Yankees. 3:05 Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show. 4:05 first pitch. Michael King getting the start today for the San Diego Padres. We'll talk about that coming up at the 12:30 mark of this hour. Got some MVP votes out already. First part of the season, MLB.com asked some of their colleagues to put their MVP votes out. Might be a Padre near the top. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. We do need a contestant for a midday sports standoff coming up at 12:45. Try to take me down on some sports trivia and win a trip to Vegas to see Bruno Mars, potentially. You enter for a chance. And then coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, keep you updated on some other sports. Stanley Cup NBA Playoffs update. As that continues to roll on, we'll also get you a preview of tonight's game between the Padres and the Yankees. That was a gritty performance last night for the San Diego Padres. Gritty performance. And how they responded to the adversity that they were given yesterday. It's not easy to go out there and deal with the weather and deal with in and out of your routines and the weather delays and still be able to beat a pretty impressive New York Yankees team, albeit not being at full strength that the Yankees are. But nobody's at full strength during the season. Padres Grit Squad is open for business. I thought last year when Mike Shildt mentioned Grit Squad, I kind of cringed. It was like the team was around 500. They'd win a couple of games. They'd lose more games. They'd bounce around 500 until you finally saw the Grit Squad emerge in the second half of the season last year. And now you're seeing it at the beginning part of this season. Mike Shildt yesterday talked about how the Padres responded not only in the 8th inning, but all day.
The response from me is every night with this group. This group loves to compete and play baseball together. And regardless of circumstances, they're going to show up and they're going to post. You know, just got done, a couple of rain delays rather, over in Pittsburgh. Pro way to handle it, boom, game starts, let's go. Second night, game starts, let's go. Tonight, rain delay, game starts, let's go. Game stops. And I knew we were going to be in a good place again, regardless. But that game got delayed for a short period of time, and told everybody what time the game was going to resume. Our dugout was full, energy was good, guys are ready to go take the field. Nikki's ready. So when you have guys that do that consistently, regardless of circumstances, you're going to set yourself up, especially with the ability we have to play the game right, to compete, and then things will break for you. And they broke for us tonight, and they break in different ways. And they broke, tonight with Wadey, working a walk and have a good approach and gets his base hit up the middle. And next thing you know, here comes Manny, and then here comes Bogey. So the bottom to the top, and little things, walks, and nice approaches lead to bigger things with the double and Bogey's clutch 2-run go ahead, game winning, turned out to be RBI.
Team comes ready to post every single day. They come ready with fire. They come ready to go out there and compete. This is an exciting team to watch. This is a team that you can back. This is a team that you can roll into any town and just be like, we ain't here to mess around. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and I have drastically flipped my opinion on the Padres-Dodgers series this year. Because during the offseason, as you saw players not re-sign, and the Padres move on to other entities to fill out the roster and add at the margins and add some aging veteran players. They brought in one pitcher, Nick Pivetta, who's been phenomenal. And with the Dodgers getting better after they, did what they did in the postseason and won a World Series, emotionally, without looking at it with a level head, you would go into the season like, I don't want to watch any Padres-Dodgers game ever this season. It's ridiculous. They're spending $400 million on their payroll compared to everybody else in Major League Baseball, not being able to do that. But the way that this team plays, the way that the Padres show up every day, bring their lunch pail, clock in, clock out, and are gritty, as mentioned by the Grit Squad that you hear from Mike Shildt all the time. There's nobody in baseball. I'm afraid to go attack right now. I mean, this is a team that you can roll into any ballpark in the United States and go, we're going to win 2 out of 3. Good luck. We are the team that, we're going to post up at home at Petco Park and be like, come and take it. Good luck. And a lot of that has to do with not just the roster, but just the way the team plays. I think it's the ability of Mike Shildt to be able to get everybody to pull the rope in the right direction. I think it's the mentality. I think it's the mindset. I think it's the camaraderie, the continuity of the same faces in the organization. I think it's a lot of the correct things that this team has that's going to make him a player. And going to make him a player in the postseason. It's only May 6th. And there's a lot of baseball left to be played, and the Padres got to stay healthy, and you got to get through a trade deadline, and there's a lot of other things that are, still that need to happen this year. But the Padres are playing great baseball, and they're competing at a high level. And they are winning games that they should be winning against inferior teams, and they are grinding out games against good teams in Major League Baseball. And they don't go away. The Padres don't go away. And a couple of times when they did, when they were banged up, it's a different story. It's a different team. But this Padres team this year in 2025, the Grit Squad, have been able to accumulate 8 of their 23 wins as comeback wins. They have 8 one-run wins. They have 3 5+ game-winning streaks this year, in which they're on one right now. They've won 6 straight. They're first in Major League Baseball in ERA. They're first in shutouts. They're first in saves. They're first in hits allowed. They're first in runs. And they're first in earned runs allowed. First in runs and earned runs allowed. They're not first in runs. Not even close to that. The bullpen's going to keep them in games. The starting staff's going to keep them in games. And by throwing up zeros constantly on the board, you give your offense an opportunity to strike at any time, and they did that last night in the 8th inning. The fun group to watch. And they're getting reinforcements on the way. Jackson Merrill is expected to be back tonight for the Padres. Now, we haven't seen any roster moves yet. We haven't seen any lineups come out yet. And I'm sure it'll be happening relatively soon because we're getting closer and closer to game time on the East Coast. And once we get that information, we'll pass it along. But Jackson Merrill's back with the team in New York. Flew in yesterday. He's expected to play tonight. And it was announced not too long ago by the El Paso Chihuahuas that Jake Cronenworth is scheduled to appear tonight and on Wednesday. This is what the tweet said. Southwest University Park might just be the Crone Zone tonight. Gotta love minor league accounts. Two-time MLB All-Star Jake Cronenworth is scheduled to join the Chihuahuas today and tomorrow as part of his rehab assignment. Be sure to get your tickets. Thank you, El Paso. The rumor was that Jake Cronenworth could be back by Friday in Colorado. I mean, Jackson Merrill only played 2 rehab assignment games down in San Antonio. I would imagine Cronenworth plays a couple of games. He plays the Tuesday, Wednesday, and then he's out and he's meeting the Padres in Colorado against the Rockies. And now you're really cooking. You're winning with pitching. You're winning with defense. You're winning with moving the ball, grinding out at bats. I mean, taking care of the little things. We talked about that a lot yesterday, but this Padres club is fun to watch, and they're off to a good start to the season. I don't know how many times I've said that. I wouldn't be ready to buy your World Series tickets yet. Got to be able to make it through the entire season, but you got to like what you're seeing right now. Didn't even have Jackson Merrill last night. And Fernando Tatis Jr. didn't even have that great of a night. 0 for at the plate, back-to-back 0 for appearances. Not worried about Fernando because he's still the best athlete on the field. And he might be already an MVP favorite. First MVP votes are out, according to MLB.com. Where's Fernando rank? We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, standing as number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. 140 or 12:17 on the Braden Surprenant show on a Tuesday. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 if you want to join the show today. Had a lot of people fired up. We had a lot of great phone calls to start the show. If you want to weigh in, we'd love to have your phone call, 833-288-0973. Everybody in the YouTube chat, thanks again for joining us today. 147 of you in there. Only 28 likes. Give us the like button. It really helps us out. Helps the show. It takes you 2 seconds to do. If you're watching on your phone, hit thumbs up on YouTube on a desktop. Give us the like. We really appreciate it. It helps us out. Be sure to follow us on social media at @B_SURP. You can follow me on Twitter/X. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on TikTok. You can also follow the show at @B_SURP show on Twitter. You can also follow Frank Marchese, who was off to a great start to the day, and then I didn't even know what you did, but I know you got mad at yourself. I forget.
Didn't turn the mic on. It's the simple rookie mistake I make all the time.
Happens. But yes. Frankie Watkins, replay the call from New Jersey. Fire us up again. Joe, New Jersey was great. He set the tone, my guy. He set the tone. Did a great job setting the tone with some of the phone calls. We're going to talk about Fernando Tatis Jr. and where he stacks up right now in the rest of baseball when it comes to some MVP voting. They already did some MVP voting on MLB.com. First MVP vote of 2025. Jason Foster had this for MLB.com. They had voters rank their top 5 picks in each league on a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 scale. 5 points for first place, 4 for second, and so on. And the results are very interesting. We'll get to those in just a little bit. Want to get back to your phone calls, though. Let's get out to Kike in Carmel Valley. Kike, what's going on, man?
Hey, what a game last night. I just want to give some props to our great leader, Mike Shildt, for getting everything going, and I'm glad he saved his glasses. And also huge props to AJ Preller. I got to admit, I was amongst the very dissatisfied during the offseason, watching all the high-level free agents go off the board and, what are we doing? Why aren't we, building on the team from last year? And kind of quietly he did that. I mean, Nick Pivetta, the one high-level free agent we signed, arguably the best in signing in all of baseball in the offseason, at least so far. And, 2 guys last year, David Peralta and Donovan Solano, who were huge, those veterans on short-term contracts that you need to fill in the roster. Looks like he hit a little bit again this year with Gavin Sheets and Jose Iglesias. Yuli Gurriel got rid of him quickly. It didn't pan out. But, the bench right now is constructed, once you get Cronenworth back with Wade, Lockridge, and Jose Iglesias, that's a real nice bench. So just props to AJ Preller for, holding his fire until he jumped off Pivetta, a couple good veteran signings. The bullpen is just insane. The Yuki Matsui signing from last year looks a lot better. Wandy Peralta also, looks a lot better over last year. So I'm just super happy.
Yeah, absolutely, Kike. Just like most Padres fans are. The roster construction's great. They're going to get some reinforcements in the bullpen coming back. John Reynolds just looks really good in his rehab assignment. So the bullpen that's already been the best in baseball will get an upgrade. They're expecting to get an upgrade in the starting rotation with Yu Darvish at the end of the month. Jake Cronenworth is expected to be back by Friday. If all reports continue to be positive, he's going to have his rehab assignment Tuesday, Wednesday, today and tomorrow in El Paso. And the Padres have built together a pretty good team, pretty good roster. Sometimes you got to let some of those players go. like the Kyle Higashiokas and the Donovan Solanos and the David Peraltas. Got to be able to find other pieces to add. And I think AJ Preller's done that so far this year. And we'll see what they got in store at the trade deadline. But we still got a long way to go before then. Kike, appreciate the phone call. Let's get out to Susan in San Diego. Susan, what's going on?
Hey, Braden, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Susan. Always excited after a big Padres win.
Oh, my God. Was it ever a better time to be a Padre fan? It is just incredible. I wanted to say, though, that, that umpire last night tried to leave the cake out in the rain. And then we had Toddy and Manny come out and frost it and put the sprinkles on it. It was an incredible, incredible inning. But one thing I did notice is in the seventh inning, did you notice when they flashed over to the Padre dugout, you had some words coming off Shilt's lips too. And so that was kind of the start of it, because he was dissatisfied in the seventh inning with some of the calls. But boy, was that a fun game. It was great. And, we couldn't have a better team and be more proud of our Padres. And also, for us fans, we're having a great time, and I just hope the momentum keeps going.
Absolutely, Susan. I appreciate the phone call. I don't like over emphasizing regular season games too much. And I think it could get cringe to a certain extent of us celebrating beating the Yankees. It's not just beating the Yankees. I just think the way that the game yesterday played out gives you a reason to have a lot of optimism for the rest of the season. I think that was one of those games that you get excited about because your team can battle and your team can come back, and despite all of the circumstances that are not going your way, you can still find ways to win. I think that's more what we are excited about here in San Diego after last night's exciting game, an exciting comeback. More so than just beating the Yankees on a Monday night, acting like it's the World Series, which that's not the case. It's not what Padres fans are thinking. I think it's more a sense of understanding and getting excited about where this team could potentially go and how they're playing right now and how their style of play is successful long term. I think that's more what people are excited about over just the win last night. That's what I'm excited about. I mean, I was excited about that the entire evening last night while playing softball, while leaving the softball combo. I was like, man, Padres got to win. They stole one tonight on a 6-game winning streak. We hear it from Mike Shildt all the time, the process over the results. I thought the process of last night's game is something to be more excited about than just the result of coming back and beating the Yankees in a monsoon. It's how they did it. It's how they did it. It's who contributed. It's being able to do it without having Fernando in the last 2 innings because of the ejection. It's doing it without having your manager. It's doing it with your bullpen. It's doing it in all different levels of the game and finding different ways to win and beating other teams different ways. That has been a success for the Dodgers for so many years. The Padres are doing it now. So again, when people are calling in or being excited, and nobody has said anything negative about this, I'm just thinking as I hear all these calls, Padres fans, you should be excited on the process of the team more so than just the results. The process is working for the Padres. They're doing everything they need to do to get ready for the postseason, to be ready to go in the postseason. The results will come. They said that during the stretch of losing that they had, and they're going to go on another one of those stretches. It's going to happen. We hope it doesn't, but it's inevitable in baseball. But we are already more than a month into the season. We've seen how this team plays. We see how they operate. We see how they conduct themselves. We understand now as Padres fans that this team can go on a run and not only make the postseason, but make a run in the postseason. And that's why Padres fans are excited today. The process has been pure. It's been established by Mike Shildt. The organization is bought in with the players, and they're playing really good, competitive baseball that plays in every ballpark and plays at any time in the year. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Marcus and Menifee will lead us off. When we come back, we will also hear from tonight's starting pitcher. Michael King is back in the Bronx for the first time. Since growing up being a Yankees fan, since being part of the Yankees organization, since being traded to the Padres. He's got a lot of mixed emotions. What does he think about tonight's start? We'll hear from him when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 12:34 on a Tuesday. Padres, Yankees, Game 2 coming up at 4:05, weather permitting. Weather today is not as bad as it was yesterday. If they were able to play yesterday, they should be able to play today. Michael King getting the start for the San Diego Padres. It's the first time that he's going to be playing at the Bronx since he was traded to the Padres in the Juan Soto deal. Drafted by the Yankees, developed by the Yankees, grew up a Yankees fan. He's got a lot of friends and family in the area. Should be a special moment for Michael King. What does he have to say on the matter? We'll talk about that in just a little bit, but first, get back to your phone calls. Loyal listener, Marcus in Menifee joins the Braden Surprenant show. Marcus, what's going on, man? How's your Tuesday?
Oh, at work, it's pretty busy. Always busy on a Tuesday. Appreciate you guys taking my call. So, I've been thinking about some things, especially on these comeback wins. And to reflect on a couple of wins from last year, we have, the win against the Cubs with the 7-run comeback. That was really special to kickstart the season from last year. And I have an uncle who's a Dodger fan, so I have to communicate to him, give him props every now and then. But I did warn him about our, should have been our rookie of the year, Jackson. I warned him, look out. And sure enough, extra innings, Dodger Stadium gets that hit and we win. And then another game against the Dodgers, Arise. First home game, walk off. Fantastic. And then let's add last night's game to the list. All the elements, get Tatis thrown out. And then you got Shildt coming up. And reflecting back to what you guys said earlier about a wrestler, I was thinking Stone Cold's song coming up with that glass pop in, and he's just walking out, giving a couple fingers, maybe a somersault slam, and just letting him have it. As always, guys, thank you for taking my call. You have a good one.
Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate it. We're talking about putting out a WWE song for when Mike Shildt goes out to talk to the manager. What do you think about Stone Cold's song, Frank?
Someone said the Jaws theme in the chat a while ago. That kind of fits, honestly.
He's just lurking.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll be talking about players. Dun-dun.
He's done that with us a couple times in the meeting.
Yeah, well, yeah, he does that. He does that. He gets his takes. He ruffles the feathers of some of our local media sometimes. But I do like the WWE idea with the music coming out. There was like a WWE event. Seeing him come out to argue with the umpire. My God, it's Mike Shildt's music. Ah! Hilarious. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get to Alex and Del Mar. Alex, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm just totally stoked about the game last night. It was so much fun. Just love how they're continuing what they did last year, and I think they'll be in good shape going throughout the season. I feel really good about them, and going to the playoffs too. Give the Dodgers a really good run for their money and can catch them off guard and beat them.
I think so too. Alex, appreciate the phone call. We do have to get some contestants for the midday sports standoff. I have an opportunity to take me down in trivia and win a trip to be entered in a chance to win a trip to Vegas to see Bruno Mars. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 for the midday sports standoff. Continue on with some of your phone calls. Kathy in Oceanside, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, Kathy?
Hi, I just want to say, you know what, a lot of callers call about the wins. I think that game last night was important because if anybody listened to Mike after the game, he said himself and the players have respect for anybody that's on the field. I think Mike is really getting this team together as a team. And for me, being a Philly fan for a long time, I was from Philly till I moved here 10 years ago. Dad said you root for the home team. This team cares about getting someone else the home run. It's not about themselves. And I think they play gutsy baseball like I watched.
Oh, we're losing Kathy. Appreciate the phone call, Kathy. He's saying the right things. Absolutely. Getting to pull the rope in the right direction. I'm going to let Frank, we got to see if any of these are contestants. I did the fatal mistake of getting phone calls during the deal of getting a contestant for the game. So if you're calling in for the game, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If not, then, you can still call in and talk as well on the Braden Surprenant Show. I do want to get to the Michael King sound before we get to the midday sports standoff. Let's let Frank deal with a lot of that stuff. What do we got here? So 4 is for the game, and the other 2 are for, or somebody else is for. All right. Let's get to some of the Michael King stuff before we get to the midday sports standoff, because I want to get to this. Michael King coming back to Yankee Stadium. Here's Michael King on returning to Yankee Stadium as he's with Bob Scanlon.
Michael, how strange is it to be in the visiting clubhouse right now?
It's definitely different, but a lot of familiar faces still over here, so it's been good so far.
What were the emotions coming to the ballpark today? Did you have a lot of flashbacks of things, or just what were you feeling?
I mean, obviously the energy in New York's great. Seeing the stadium is cool, like the normal drive up, but I mean, we got a job to do, so it's a focus on getting outs.
Mostly good memories here, though, for you?
Of course, yeah. I mean, we had great team, great staff, a lot of wins. It was a really fun time.
Have you thought much about facing old teammates and what that might be like?
Definitely weird to scout against them. I've seen Judge swing the bat thousands of times. I've never once tried to get him out, so it'll be a very hard challenge, but it was a fun time scouting them and trying to see their swings in different ways than I normally am used to.
Are you anticipating at all there being a moment as they're walking up to the plate we might have a quick eye contact, or is it going to be all business, so you just have to see how it plays out?
There will definitely be eye contact, but I gotta make sure I stay locked in, because obviously that's the best in the big leagues.
A lot of stuff right there for Michael King. Rapid fire questions for Bob on Michael King's start tonight at Yankee Stadium. It was kind of interesting seeing him, put together the scouting report for Aaron Judge. And here's a little bit more on Michael King studying for Aaron Judge, as that's going to be an interesting matchup. And he told us before he went out to New York, before they hit the road trip, that he's going to try not to laugh immediately when Aaron Judge steps in the box. They're still pretty good friends. How did he do studying his friend Aaron at the dish?
Yeah, I texted him that he has insane plate coverage. Usually you can see some holes in hitters. Obviously, a guy's that's hitting 450 with whatever his OPS is. You don't have too many holes, so it's going to be all about execution. Going to be all about sequencing. But I mean, Judge was insane when I was here, and that's a guy that's going to be insane for however long he plays.
First time you look at his swing like that, preparing to pitch him.
Yep.
So is that plate discipline what stood out the most to you?
Not plate discipline, plate coverage. Yeah. I mean, he's so big and he's off the plate, so you'd think that you can get him out of the way, but because he's so long, he can get to that pitch away, but he's so quick, he can get to that pitch in. He's got great pitch recognition. I mean, he's one of the best hitters in the game, so that's what you expect.
It's not just Aaron Judge he's going to be facing for the first time. He'll be facing that Tiffany and Company NY for the first time after wearing it for the majority of his life, not only as a player in the organization, but also as a fan growing up. Here's Michael King on facing the Yankees for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be a little bit more adrenaline than just a random game. But it's the same thing. And going back to your question about who I'm facing, there's really only like 3 guys that were here when I was playing. I was looking at it's Volpe, Wells, and Judge. A lot of new faces over there. So it's not like it's the same team that I was just on. Obviously, it's been now over a year removed. So it'll be very fun to face those guys, and I always love facing my ex-teammates or friends that I've had. But yeah, just a good challenge.
Michael King, as a pitcher for the Yankees, is mostly a bullpen guy. They kind of had him start a couple of times, but being traded to the Padres gave him an opportunity to be an everyday, or not an everyday, but a starter in the rotation. How much has his bullpen mindset made him a better starter?
I think it was huge for. I do think that coming from the bullpen, it made me understand how to get outs when I needed to get outs, and honestly learn the game. I can walk this guy to get the next guy out because it's a better matchup. As a starting pitcher, you put yourself in the holes. You have to be able to then bear down and get out of those situations. So I think it's helped me in those senses. I also am praying that it helps Shildt give me a little more trust because he knows that I've gotten outs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning as a reliever. But I think it's that same thing. We all know how to get zeros, and you're just trying to put up 1-0 at a time and get 6, 7, 8 outs or innings as you can.
Talked a lot about Michael King being the player that, or being a Yankee, and growing up in that organization and being a fan of the team as a kid and growing up in the area in the Northeast, and how bad he wanted to be a Yankee for his entire career, and how upset he was that he was ended up being traded in the Juan Soto deal. A player that, by the way, as we've been told by a couple of reporters from the Yankees didn't want to give up Michael King. They were willing to give everybody else up, but AJ Preller was set on having Michael King be part of that trade. So now that he's wearing the brown and gold, how does Michael King view the trade now to the San Diego Padres?
I think it was huge for my development. I definitely think I was given a longer leash as a starter over here. I think that Ruben has been incredible for my development. Obviously he did it with Lugo the year before, so he knew kind of how to manage my innings, but also make sure that I was strong enough to get through a full season and be strong for the following year. So I think it was great for my development as a starter. And obviously it worked both ways. You know, we have great talent over here. Higgy was incredible for us last year. You see Randy doing it this year. Obviously we flipped Thorpe for Cease, and Cease has been dominant for us. So it's definitely been a very fun locker room to get traded over to.
Michael King makes a start tonight. First pitch 4:05. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show 3:05. It's time for the Midday Sports Standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
That's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we got today on the Midday Sports Standoff?
We have Brandon calling in from El Cajon. Brandon, how you doing today, bud?
Brandon.
Oh, yep, we got him.
Got him.
I heard him.
All right.
So do you have the rules, Braden, or?
Frank's got a list.
Yes, I do.
He's got a trivia question. It's going to have a list of answers. For everyone that you get correct, Brandon, you get a point. For everyone I get correct, I get a point. We'll go back and forth until the list is gone or until somebody gets 3 strikes. In order to get a strike, you answer incorrectly or do not answer within a reasonable amount of time. You will get an which means you got a strike. 3 strikes and you're out. Whoever's got the most points wins. If we tie, you win. Because we like giving away prizes on the Braden Surprenant Show. You are playing for an opportunity to qualify for a trip to Vegas. And once that loads up on my computer here, you'll have a chance to win our grand prize, a trip to see Bruno Mars in Las Vegas, including 2 tickets to his show at Dolby Live at Park MGM on September 3rd, 2 nights stay at Park MGM, and a $100 gift card. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. If any answer to the trivia question appears multiple times, you'll get multiple points for said answer, but I don't think that's the case today, Frank.
It is not. Our trivia question today, now I learned from yesterday when I put up a question that had 200 possible answers, not to do that again, so I lowered it. Now we have 20 possible answers. Who was in the lineup for both the Yankees and the Padres for Game 1 of the 1998 World Series? So all starting 9 and the pitcher for both teams are eligible for this contest. So, Brandon, we will start with you. Who was in the Padre or Yankee lineup for Game 1 of the 1998 World Series?
Well, I'm going to take the easy one off the board and go with Tony Gwynn.
Correct. Tony Gwynn was batting second for the Padres that night.
And batting leadoff and at second base, Kilvio Veras.
Just might have been. Brandon.
How about Point Loma High alum David Wells?
David Wells was the Yankees starter for Game 1.
Batting third and in left field with 50 home runs, Greg Vaughn.
Correct. Brandon.
To finish the outfield, how about Steve Finley?
Steve Finley in center field, batting seventh. Braden.
Designated hitter who had a great playoff run. Add at the deadline, Jim Leyritz.
Correct. Batting fifth. Brandon, sorry.
I'll go back to the other side, to the Yankees. Derek Jeter.
Batting second for the Yankees that night.
Catcher, Padres broadcaster, Spanish broadcaster, Carlos Hernandez.
Batting eighth. Brandon.
Bernie Williams.
Bernie Williams batting fourth for the Yankees in center field.
How many we got?
You got two,
how many Padres left?
Three more Padres, not including the pitcher. So four more Padres left.
Starting pitcher was Kevin Brown.
Three Padres left, not with the starting pitcher taken. So both starters have been taken. Brandon.
Was Wally Joyner at first base that night?
Yes, he was.
He just might have been. Yes, he was.
And Chris Gomez was at shortstop.
One Padre left. Rest are Yankees.
Is it Caminetti?
It is Caminetti. Only Yankees left.
Well, I like his name. Chuck Knobloch was a leadoff hitter for the Yankees in 1998.
And he was the leadoff hitter that night as well.
How about Tino Martinez?
First baseman.
Scott Brocious.
Batting seventh and third.
I don't know if I'm early on this, but Posada?
Behind the plate, batting eighth. We have three more possible answers.
All team name recognition. Designated hitter Chili Davis.
Two left. So, Brandon, if you get this one wrong, you got to hope Braden doesn't get the last one. If you do get it right, it's most likely going to be a tie, so you'll be entered in.
Who are we missing? Peter, I said Williams. You said Brocious, right? Oh, Jesus. Joe Girardi?
No, Girardi was not in the starting lineup. So, Braden,
we've said
if you get it wrong, it's going back to Brandon.
Who have we said on the Yankees?
Knobloch, Jeter, Williams, Davis, Martinez, Brocious, Posada.
Oh, what's his name? He's like, it's a famous Yankee. There's so many famous Yankees. Was he in Seinfeld? Paul O'Neill? Oh! Paul O'Neill.
You got it. So that will do it for the game because now Brandon can't beat or tie.
He can't tie?
No.
Oh, because he had the one answer.
Yep. So Braden,
I have no
takes
idea who the last guy
day
is.
2. It would have been the left fielder batting ninth, Ricky Ledee.
Ricky Ledee. I've
Would have
never
been
heard
the
of him.
last one.
Never heard of him. All right. It's 2 in a row. We're on a hot streak here.
So are the Padres, for that matter.
Yes.
Very good game, though, Brandon. That was, again, another one coming down to the wire, though. This one a little bit more manageable as far as time was concerned.
Do not test me on the 98 team. There's a video of me at 3 years old announcing the starting lineup for the San Diego Padres. And back then, they'd play the same lineup all the time. When we come back, we'll get you an update on the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NBA playoffs as well. We will also get back to your phone calls and a couple things that we didn't get to involving the Padres. Coming up next. Final hour of the Braden Surprenant Show on Setting Number One Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Padres, Yankees. Coming up at 4. It's 4:05, right, Frank?
Yes, it is an 05 start.
It's an 05 start. Every city's got all these different start times. Are you ready for Toronto when it's an 07 start?
It doesn't matter to me anymore. I'm not producing the games anymore. So I'm ready for whatever time they're ready to go.
One of those days we're off. On a Thursday, they play at like 10:07.
Yeah, I think that's the 22nd, is it not?
Yeah, it's near the end of the month of May.
It's the 22nd. It's the first Thursday game of the year.
We got 05 starts in New York. We got 40 starts in Colorado and 10 starts, like they are here at Petco. 40 starts all through the Angels series. We all know the home start. 07 starts in Toronto. Atlanta doesn't do the 20 starts anymore. They've always done the 4:20 Pacific time start, the 7:20 starts. It's now a 4:15 start when they go to Atlanta. I always find it odd, like some of these start times in some of these cities. 40s, 45. Milwaukee's 05 on a Sunday, a 35, a 10. Arizona's got a 4. That's usually national broadcast, like the 4:15 on a Saturday. Cincinnati's got 10s. Philly's got the they do the 30s. They got a 3:30 start in Philly.
Yeah, a lot of the East Coast is still doing the 7:10s. Which after these 6:40 starts, I'm kind of used to that now, so I kind of like the 6:40 better. But
how about this? We got coming up. We got a Wednesday, July 2nd. Knocks us off the air.
Against the Phillies.
You get the Phillies at 10 in the morning, and then they have July 3rd is Thursday, and then we have that Friday off into a weekend. Could be a heck of a Thursday question or Thursday show for us. Off day Wednesday, show Thursday. Independence Day Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Wow.
Got to get used to getting these. I fought for so long. I fought for 6 years to be working Monday through Friday every single day here. I finally got it. And now we're getting days off in the middle of the week again. I'm like, God.
Yeah, well, that's only on the East Coast trips. You only have a couple of those, though, you have to deal with. So you have the 10:05. In the month of May, we don't have a lot because the Yankees games are all night games. Yes. I mean, those are usually ones. We only have one in May, which is the 10:07 game, like completely off. 10:07 in the morning. And then in June, we have like the short shows, but not like a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have like the Thursday day games, Wednesday day games on there. And then, so no off days in June for the Braden Surprenant Show. July, they got the 10:05 start, July 2nd against the Phillies that we talked about already. And then they have their Comic-Con road trip, and that usually equates to a handful, and there's not. There's only one. It's Miami on a Wednesday at 9 in the morning on the 23rd of July. And then it's 4:45 start, 4:15 start, all that. August is when you start playing mostly teams out here on the West Coast.
Yeah.
No more by August. September, you might sneak in one more East Coast trip. There's one left in September. September 18th on a Thursday, they're in New York to take on the Yankees. I mean, the Mets. So that's the schedule layout.
That's going to be a bad series for me, I have a feeling. Both teams in a playoff hunt, possibly a division hunt for both teams. That's going to be.
You better hope they're both in a playoff hunt.
It's going to be a bad series. I'd rather one of them not be, honestly, because that takes a little bit of pressure off the series.
I think it'd be great. I just want to hear your reaction. I want to hear you and Joe, New Jersey, duke it out for 3 days. That's must listen, right? It's appointment listening.
It will be. Yes, it will be.
Here's what we do. We have you go to the other room and we have you call in as a disgruntled Mets fan. WFAN style. Put you as one of the callers. Let's let you rant. But we need that phone sound in the back. We need that phone sound. That classic sports talk radio phone sound.
I'll try to pick up a.
I guess you could record it and then put phone on there on Adobe.
Yeah.
And then play it. That'd be pretty good.
I'll try to pick up a rotary phone from somewhere.
We got a long way to go before we get there. We also don't have a lineup yet.
Good news. But I mean, of course, you want to know the lineup, but good news for what's on the horizon and what the rumors have been.
It's usually because they're making a roster move. We got a Yankees lineup.
Good for them.
New York Yankees rolling out with Trent Grisham, Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, Jason Dominguez, Anthony Volpe, Austin Wells, Oswaldo Cabrera, Norbert Vivas.
Yes.
And their starting pitcher, Clark Schmidt. The Yankees lineup is out. It was out an hour ago. Padres don't have a lineup out yet, which means they're probably getting ready to make a roster move to activate Jackson Merrill, which means a couple of things. Somebody's getting sent down, or somebody's getting DFA'd, or somebody's getting on the injured, being put on the injured list. And to be honest with you, I thought for sure Connor Joe was going to be this move. I didn't think they were going to bring up Luis Campusano over the weekend. Do you send Luis Campusano back down after 3 days? That might be the move. I think that's the one that probably makes the most sense.
When was the last time Martin Maldonado got a start?
He starts with certain pitchers.
No, I understand that, but was it like 3 days ago, 4 days ago?
I think so. They're going to keep him on the roster.
No, I get that, but that corresponds with them bringing Campusano up. So maybe Martin, and this is pure 100% speculation here, but maybe Martin's dealing with something, which is why they brought Campy up unexpectedly.
Maldonado played last night.
Oh, he played? Oh,
he didn't start. He played last night, though.
Okay, well,
he did come in late.
There goes that.
I like where your head was at, though. That was thinking outside the box. But yes, if I didn't realize because they had him play last night because of they pinch hit for Diaz and they didn't want Campusano to catch.
The only other guys I can think of would be Campy or Oscar Gonzalez.
That would be it.
Those would be the only other two.
Oscar Gonzalez is a player that he's not out of. It was weird. He wasn't out of options, but he had like a clause where he can opt out if he's not brought up to the big leagues by a certain time. So he's not like a protected player where a guy like Campusano is. T. Wade is also not a protected player. Like you'd have to pass him through waivers again. So to me, okay, Maldonado started on Saturday. It would either be Campusano or Oscar Gonzalez. It's probably going to be Campusano, probably.
How many more options does he have? Because he went down last year also. Going down at the beginning of this year, used an option, so he would have used two of the three already.
The options only count as one per year now.
Oh.
Okay. So just using one this year counts as this year's option, and then he can go back and forth. But I look at, you brought him up to face a bunch of left-handers. You got a right-hander today. You got a left-hander again tomorrow. Maybe Oscar Gonzalez is hurt. Hey, man. Wrist is acting up, isn't it? No, it's acting up. I'm going to put you on the injured list. It's got to be one of those moves. I can't imagine it being something other than that.
He's played the last 4 games.
I know. It's either Campusano or Gonzalez. You have to make a decision, or you place somebody on the injured list. Is it Iglesias? Probably not. So, it's probably going to be my guess now is as I talk about it out loud and as we discuss, I would imagine Merrill comes back and Campusano gets sent down.
But then, what was the point of bringing him up?
To face the left-handers in those 3 days. I mean, he didn't really do anything in those. He's only up to be a DH. He's not up to be a full-time catcher. Now, here's the other question though. I mean, Oscar Gonzalez's days have to be numbered, right?
Yeah, because you got to find
you have
someone.
Jake Cronenworth coming on Friday. I mean, these are problems that are not problems that really, they're not bad problems to have.
No.
But who's going to go down on Friday? At least with you, Darvish, whenever he comes back, it's a pitching thing, and there's a lot of ways that you can deal with the pitchers.
The one thing that I could see possibly with keeping Camposano up, and this would be my argument if I were fighting for him, yes, he's 0 for 6, but he's drawn 4 walks in 3 games.
He's had productive at bats. He hasn't been like
going to get you. That's a guy who's going to try to get on base for you.
When you're facing a lefty tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Max Fried, the best the Yankees have.
Best pitcher in baseball right now.
And you wonder why the lineup's not out yet. I mean, they obviously had a plan put in place, but it's interesting to see what they decide to go with. And once we get a lineup and a roster move, we will pass that along. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Juan in Oceanside, you're on the Braden Surprenant show. What's going on, Juan?
Not much, Braden. I was just thinking about what you were talking about Pivetta earlier, about him being a fiery pitcher. And Mark Grant keeps comparing him to Kevin Brown. And I know a lot of older Padres fans don't really like him for, I don't remember the reasons, but
he was not that great of a guy,
that...
Juan. He was kind of a...
Okay.
I can't describe him on air, the words that I've been told of what he was like. And I've gotten that from multiple people. In fact, funny story. My mom, when she was just out of college, the guy she was dating at the time actually played with Kevin Brown in the minor leagues. She said the exact same thing. So, not a well-liked guy, Juan. So that's not the same comparison.
Yeah,
that's why the old Padres fans don't like him. And he ended up signing with the Dodgers for a lot more money after the end of the season. It was a one-year deal that he had Kevin Brown. But it wasn't because of how fiery he was on the mound or how legit he was. It was more of as he was as a dude off the field.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because one of the memories that was unlocked for me with Mark Grant continuously comparing him to Kevin Brown was my uncle had a bunch of VHS tapes where he recorded the 98 postseason run that the Padres had, so the divisional championship and World Series. And it reminded me of Kevin Brown just kind of doing the same thing that Pivetta does, where he just kind of stomps around the mound and just like super angry. And it kind of reminded me of how exciting that 98 team was because of how competitive they were. And, you know, I hope it does kind of signify something positive for the Padres now of how competitive and fiery they are now in comparison to that 98 series.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see some of the comparisons, and Juan, I appreciate the phone call, man. But, you know, you look at this team's really talented. It's hard. You can't compare two teams to each other until the end of the season, but, you know, you got that Pivetta kind of red ass Kevin Brown red ass look from him. I mean, the way he was marching around yesterday at Yankee Stadium, I could see it. I could see the Kevin Brown in him a little bit. God, he was electric in 1998. Again, just Padres fans don't like it because he wasn't that great of a guy. And then he ended up going to the Dodgers like the next year for more money, and just this is never going to sit well with Padres fans. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to get to Dexter in Spring Valley when we come back and get you an update on the NHL and NBA playoffs. And then there's a lot of players that are due to have some big contracts in Major League Baseball. Is it a good idea? I think we've started to talk about how it wasn't a good idea with some of the Padres players that we have. We'll talk about that to finish up the show as we continue on the Braden Surprenant show, sending us number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 120 on a Victory Tuesday, trying to make it tomorrow a Victory Wednesday. Padres and Yankees set to duel it out tonight at 4:05 p.m. Pacific time. Do not have a lineup yet, which means they're still working on a roster move for the San Diego Padres. Once we get that, we will pass it along. I'm sure it will happen at 1:54. That's usually how these things work. The end of the show, after we can't talk about it, on to the next show. I forgot to mention, yes, Adam Paul in the chat laid out, and I totally forgot about this story. But another big reason, one, who I'm sure is still listening, why Padres fans don't like Kevin Brown is at the end of this 98 season in free agency, Kevin Brown said he wanted to move and be closer to home. And he's from Cincinnati. And then he signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And so for a lot of Padres fans, you're sitting there going like, okay, well, I guess it's closer, maybe. Frank, if you had to pull up a map, I don't know, Frank's locked in right now, and he's in the depths. He's in the depths.
I'm not happy right now is what it is.
Well, yeah, it's tied again. If you looked at a map, Frank.
I'm pulling it up.
What's closer to Cincinnati? Los Angeles or San Diego? Yeah, it's about the same. Maybe LA is a little bit closer because it's further north. It's probably slightly closer to Cincinnati if I had to think about like a map and how it plays out.
It is 2,175 miles from LA to Cincinnati.
Would you say 2,175?
Yes, 2,175. Chat, keep that in mind.
Okay, 2,175 miles from Cincinnati to LA.
2,157 from San Diego to Cincinnati.
He actually moved further away. Thanks, Kevin. So, yeah, that's why Padres fans do not like Kevin Brown. Want to move closer to home. Here's a big check to move further away from home. All right, sounds good.
Hey, listen, it's only a 32-hour drive.
Yeah, it's not, family can come watch
right around the corner.
Just down the road. Just down the road. 833-288.
It's a long road.
0973. Yeah, take Route 66. I'm sure jump on it and drive your all the way out to Santa Monica. Dexter in Spring Valley on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Dexter?
Hey, it's first time calling in the Braden Show 2.0, so it's nice to finally get through. Real quick about the Kevin Brown story.
Yes.
The big reason why he left the Padres was they were not willing to answer to one of the things on his rider, which was he wanted access to a private jet so that on the days that he wasn't starting, he could fly back home. And the Dodgers were willing. The Dodgers actually did that. They gave him access to the private jet.
Wow.
So he wasn't with the team all the time. It's like when he pitched. And then as soon as he was done, he was on the private jet going home.
Going to Cincinnati.
So that's a big reason why he didn't re-sign with the Padres. And that's why he ended up with the Dodgers, because nobody else wanted to accede to them. Now, with regards to you were bringing up the whole entrance song for Mike Shildt.
Yes.
Based on what we saw last night, I think Twisted Sisters, We're Not Going to Take This is actually appropriate, because I think that when you watch him, if you set that video to the chorus of that song, I think it's perfect.
That's a great call.
Number three, people were wondering what El Nino said to the umpire. And how you notice how the umpire kind of sheepishly ejected him from the game. I think he pulled a Gene Hackman from Hoosiers. I think he went up to the ump and said, "I dare you to toss me out." And because it was a very short exchange, very short, like maybe 10, 15 seconds. And if you think about it, he was kind of like just like the ref in that movie when he tossed Gene Hackman out. It was like, "Okay, you're out of here." Whereas his response was like, "Okay," and then he just did it. And I think Tatis did that knowing full well Shildt had enough, and he needed something to push him over the edge to rally the team. And I think that because if you notice, the whole time in the post-game presser, he did, they asked him, what'd you say? What'd you say? And he goes, don't worry, it's not a big deal, words change, blah, blah, blah. And then, he went on about saying, it helped to motivate the team. It helped to motivate, Shildt and, and all that. I think Tatis took it for the team, and I think he dared the ump to throw him out.
All right. I don't mind that. I don't mind that conscrabacy there, Dexter. Appreciate the phone call. I knew when Dexter called in, he's going to have a take on the WWE walk-in song. He's usually dialed in on that. He's dialed in on the pop culture stuff. And let me tell you, for a guy like Frank that's into motor racing and a guy like Dexter, I mean, that's going to be a good phone call for you in the future, Frank.
I think so. Especially, I'm a wrestling fan also.
There you go.
I am very excited for Survivor Series coming here.
When you got that announcement, you were stoked.
Yes. Oh,
immediately.
Yeah, 100%.
You already asked Adam for a credential.
I hadn't seen him until today. So it will be coming, though. It will 100% be coming, though.
Well, I would expect that we're going to get Paul Heyman on the show then. That's my request.
Listen, I'll see what I can do.
Paul Heyman. Yeah, absolutely. What's our feels right now? I'm not as emotionally attached to this soccer game as you are, but Inter Milan was up 2-0, and now it's 2-2 in a very important Champions League game.
Yeah, the feels are not good. This is the second leg of the semifinal. Inter had gotten up, I think it was 2-0 or 3-0 in Barcelona last week, and then gagged it away. They came into today 3-3 on aggregate. Inter got out to a 2-0 lead again and gagged it away again. So now it's just happening right now is what's going on.
I gotta give a shout out to he just texted me. We have a listener watching on his TV in Spain. Our friend's Jorge spending the month in Spain. He's got it on TV.
Not a fan of yours right now.
Well, he's not. I don't know if he's rooting for FC Barcelona or not, but he's got us posted right now as he gets some work done in Spain. We're an international show here, the Braden Surprenant Show. International, as we have by the Champions League breakdown here. God, he's in a box. This is almost worse than watching like Tony and Chris watch Aztec basketball.
Like I said, like I told you during the break, this is why older Italians have no hair. Is because when an Italian team, whether it be a club team or an international team, gets into a lead, gets into a comfortable spot, they just park the bus. Oh, God. And hope their defense doesn't gag it up, which I think they just did. I believe Barca is getting a penalty.
Oh, and when we come back, we'll let you know what Frank's reaction is to it. Keep you updated on the NBA and NHL playoffs. We'll get you a lineup if we get one, and lead you into a conversation about some players that are expected to get $100 million contracts in Major League Baseball and whether or not it's worth it. I'll finish up the show. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Braden Surprenant Show. Final segment coming up next as we lead you to Gwynn and Chris and the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show and Padres baseball against the Yankees on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 1:34 on a Tuesday. A little 49 Winchester for you on a cloudy Tuesday afternoon in America's finest city. Everlasting Lover is the name of that song. I love that song right now. I don't go to Stagecoach. I don't go to Coachella. I don't go to any of those things. I'm not really into the I like music and everything. I'm not really into concerts or festivals. But Stagecoach had 49 Winchester and Treaty Oak Revival, and those are two bands I'd like to see. And that was the only missed out feeling I had with missing Stagecoach. But anyway, I digress. How are we feeling, Frank?
Not great. Still.
Not great,
No,
Bob.
I'm seeing.
Not great, Bob.
I'm seeing Inter playing in the defensive half way too often for my liking at this point.
Well, it wasn't a penalty kick, so
No,
you're
it was
okay.
not a penalty kick. It was about as close as you could be to being a penalty kick without it actually being in the box. But
oh man,
it
this
wasn't
guy's
good.
stressed out.
Yes, I am.
Super stressed out. This game's going to be like wrapping up right near the end of this show. And the transition between Gwen and Chris and our show is going to be
they're
hysterical.
They're going to have a guest. They're going to have an in-studio guest.
In-studio
until
guest.
This game is over.
I like it. I like it.
Won't be saying anything, but I'll be here.
This guy's going to be locked in. They're not the only playoffs we got going on, Frank.
No, they are not. And thank you for allowing me to turn my attention away for a second. NBA last night, the New York
By the way, the
Knickerbockers.
song's coming back.
Yes, it is.
It is coming back.
The New York Knickerbockers beating the Boston Celtics last night, 108-105, final in overtime. Big takeaway from the game last night, besides that this is the first time the New York Knicks have beaten a top team all season. Boston Celtics missed 45 three-pointers last night.
45.
At what point?
How many did they attempt?
I don't know.
They missed 45?
They missed 45 three-pointers. At what point do you go,
maybe we should stop taking
I don't think
these.
this is working.
Maybe we should stop pulling the trigger on this. Shoot or shoot, Frank. Shoot or shoot. Hey, dropping it in.
Every shooter missed as well. The number 4 Denver Nuggets, after firing their coach, beat the Oklahoma City Thunder last night.
Who needs a coach?
Yep, exactly.
Don't give LeBron any ideas.
You know, things happen.
Don't let the Nuggets cook.
121-119. Both of those were game ones. So the Knicks and the Nuggets both hold 1-0 leads in that series. Tonight, the Indiana Pacers taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. That'll be game 2.
You want to know what the Celtics were from beyond the 3-point line?
I'm going to guess.
They shot 25%. How many 3-pointers did they attempt? They missed 45.
15 for 50.
They were 15 for 60. They attempted
That's my math.
60 3-pointers. Out of the 97 shots from the field, 60 of them were from beyond the arc. They made 15 of them. Live and die by the 3. That's why the Knicks won in OT. What do we got tonight?
It's also why no one trusts me with math.
Don't do math on the radio, dude. It's a bad move. I told that to Paul last week during the roundtable. Never do math on the radio.
I don't do math, period. The Indiana Pacers taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. That is a game 2. Pacers lead that series 1-0. As of last night, what I saw, the line is at 9.5. Cleveland favored.
7.5 now.
Now 7.5.
Let's jump down.
4 p.m. 4 p.m. Pacific start on TNT. Game 2 of that TNT doubleheader, starting right after the Pacers-Cavs, will be the Golden State Warriors taking on the Minnesota T-Wolves. That will be a game 1 because, again, we cannot finish a round before the other one. We cannot start a round before the other one finishes.
We got a lot of upsets so far. We got 4 series left in the conference semifinals. Thunder dropped game 1 at home.
You got 2 and 3 out of the Western Conference too.
Cavs dropped game 1 at home. Celtics dropped game 1 at home. Can the Timberwolves complete the sweep and lose game 1 at home? And just everybody that is the lower seed getting the home court advantage the rest of the way through.
It would be nice. It didn't work out too well in the college basketball tournament, but we'll cross our fingers for the NBA. Also, the Cleveland Cavaliers, going back to them, Coach Kenny Atkinson awarded the NBA Coach of the Year award.
Congratulations.
And now, I felt the same way.
Yes.
We switched to the ice. Last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Florida Panthers 5-4. That was game 1 of that series. So Toronto, after giving every single fan in Toronto a heart attack, after almost dropping that series to the Sens, take game 1 against the reigning defending Stanley Cup champions.
Tonight we get the Hurricanes and the Caps. Hurricanes favored in this one on the road, 4 o'clock ESPN. Oilers and the Golden Knights. 6:30 in the Western Conference. Second round, game 1. That will start tonight at 6:30.
That's your ESPN doubleheader.
You got a TNT doubleheader in the NBA.
Same exact times as well.
ESPN doubleheader in hockey. Oh, by the way, the Padres are playing during that time too.
So, the New York Islanders, New York Islanders, winning the NHL draft lottery and will have the number 1 pick in this year's draft for the first time since they drafted John Tavares back in 2009.
Is that why that's in our report today?
Yes, it is.
Because the Islanders got the number 1 pick.
Islanders, Sharks, Blackhawks, Utah, Preds, your top 5 picks in the draft. Flyers, Bruins, Kraken, Sabres, Ducks.
Anaheim
in top 10. So those are your picks for the NHL draft lottery, which was done last night.
And that's your daily Stanley Cup NBA playoffs update.
There you go.
On the Braden Surprenant show. Did you see this? It's a dumb question to ask you because I showed it to you earlier today. But just in general, a Colorado fan, we didn't have this in the sports thread because it happened after we made the sports thread. A Colorado Buffaloes fan is suing the National Football League for causing him, quote, emotional distress and trauma, end quote, after Shedeur Sanders fell to the 5th round in the NFL draft. He is seeking $100 million for the harm the NFL caused to his well-being, plus he is seeking an apology and a more fair draft process. Are you good, dude?
No.
$100 million. $100 million for emotional distress because Shedeur Sanders dropped in the draft. What crazy lawyer
There's gonna be one. There's always one. There is always
Hey,
one.
man, I think you got a case. Somebody was like, I think you got a case. I think you can ask for $100 million.
That's a guy who's just looking to get paid and doesn't care.
Seriously. This guy is seeking more money than Shedeur's contract for emotional distress. This is the same. This guy was also not the guy that got prank called like Shedeur. If Shedeur sued, I'd be like, you know what? All right.
Do you have any idea?
Believe it a little bit more.
Do you have any idea how much money we could get if we sued for me, the Mets, and you, the Padres, for emotional
distress?
Do you have any idea how rich we would be?
I wouldn't sue the
wouldn't
Padres.
exist.
I wouldn't sue the Padres. I'd sue the Chargers for emotional distress.
There are times where I wish I could sue the Mets for emotional distress.
I can't believe that.
There are times.
$100 million to the NFL. He's seeking $100 million, a personal apology. That's hilarious. Personal apology. And a more fair draft process. Brother, you weren't the one that dropped in the draft. That's insane. That's insane. What's the I'm trying to read the actual thing. Retraction of the slanderous statements made about Shedeur Sanders, along with an apology for any harm caused to his reputation. Implementation of fair practices in drafting process to ensure that talented players are recognized and given opportunities based on merit. Punitive damages in the amount of $100 million for the harm caused to the plaintiff and the impact of the NFL's actions on his emotional well-being. Any additional remedies the court deems appropriate, including compensatory damages. Conclusion. Plaintiff requests that the court consider this complaint and take appropriate action to address the internal emotional distress and trauma suffered as a result of the National Football League's collusive practices and harmful statements made regarding Shedeur Sanders.
And there are people that wonder why I stay at home and don't really ever go out. It's not because I'm boring. It's not because I'm not creative, even though I am both of those things. It's because there's people like that that I might accidentally interact with that will cause me to say or do something stupid that I will not be able to take back.
I wonder if he could sue them back for emotional distress.
Go for it.
Him suing for emotional distress
has caused me
has
emotional
caused
distress.
Emotional distress of Frank because he's in the middle of watching Inter Milan play Barcelona. We're both tied at 2. In the 86th minute of play. And with that nuisance that Frank has had to deal with, I think you can now sue for half. And just be like, I don't want all. I just want half. I can't believe that was a thing. There's just no way. There's just no way. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Tim in Oceanside. Tim, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden, how you been, brother?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Tim?
Hey, let me tell you, on Shedeur Sanders, I think he picked the wrong subject to sue on. He would stand an excellent chance of winning if he sued the NFL and the defensive coordinator whose son got his personal information.
Yeah, that's if Shedeur was suing. This is a Colorado Buffaloes fan. This is just a random fan. It's not Shedeur.
Oh, I thought it was Shedeur.
No, Shedeur is not suing anybody. This is a Colorado football fan that is suing the National Football League for emotional distress at $100 million. Tim, you know what? If Shedeur was suing, it would make a lot more sense. But it's not Shedeur. It is a fan of Colorado football that is suing because Shedeur wasn't sued or wasn't drafted. I can't believe it. We don't have time to get into the Jeff Passan thing too much. We could dive into it tomorrow. And what Jeff Passan did was he highlighted all the players that are expected to get big contracts coming up in the next couple of years. Players that will get a $100 million contract, players that will get a Frank is now surrender Cobra as FC Barcelona has taken a lead. That's a good question by Saturated Fats in the chat. Is he suing every team but the Browns? The Browns drafted Shedeur. Yeah, Frank's in a bad spot. If you're not watching on YouTube and you're driving around, you got to go back and just look at Frank's natural reaction to what is FC Barcelona scoring the go-ahead goal in the 80-something minute of play. Joe in the chat, you can see Frank's soul leave his body. I think for the betterment of the SEC, we should probably just completely mute his mic for the rest of the show.
It was a great shot. It was a straight-on shot. Jan Sommer made a great save, but unfortunately the rebound went right back to him. They're checking for offside, but he wasn't offside.
Rough.
This is going to stand.
Anyway, Jeff Passan laid out the players that are about to become free agents in the next couple of classes that are going to make $100 million, that are going to make $200 million, that are going to make $300 million, $400 million, $500 million, and one player that should make $600 million. I don't think it's worth it to any of those. The $100 million, $200 million deals are going to be fine. But you start looking at some of these contracts that are going to be handed out, and there's a couple of Padres on this list. Like Jeff Passan has got Michael King and Dylan Cease listed as two pitchers that are going to get a $100 million contract each. Is that what it takes to keep Michael King? Michael King is pitching tonight. Other players that he has listed on there, and Luis Arraez as a contender to potentially get a $100 million contract. $100 million. I don't know about that. And as mentioned by Joe, he's obviously read the article. $600 million man. I know, Frank, I know your brain's a little mushed right now. If you had to pick what player currently in baseball that doesn't have a contract would get a $600 million contract, who would it be? I'll give you a hint. It's in the American League East.
Hendo.
Yes, Gunnar Henderson could potentially be a $600 million player. A couple $500 million players, Kyle Tucker, Ellie De La Cruz. $400 million players, Tariq Skubal, Paul Skeens. $300 million player, outfielder James Wood. Hey, man, you wouldn't even been able to afford that guy anyway if you kept him.
Well, things happen.
There was only a couple of Padres listed on that list. Obviously, most of them are already locked up for a long period of time. If you start looking at it and you start looking at some of the contracts that are going to be handed out, especially to shortstops, at the point in the next 2 or 3 years, Xander Bogaerts is going to have like the 15th highest salary as a shortstop out of all of baseball. I mean, it'll be like the 15th highest. It'll be a average contract to a shortstop in Major League Baseball.
That's understandable, but you also shouldn't have to wait a decade in order for a contract to seem reasonable.
Yeah, but the contract's going to slowly start seeming more and more reasonable as the years go out.
No, I understand.
It's already happened. It happened in 2 years for Fernando.
It shouldn't be that way, is my point.
No, it won't be a shortstop at that point. It'll be a first baseman. And guess what? It'll probably be like the 29th best paid first baseman at that point. Guys are spending so much money. I mean, you look at some of these contracts in the 200 millions, 300 millions. I mean, it's just, this is going to be the cost of doing business. James Wood, Wyatt Langford, Jackson Chourio, $300 million. Jackson Chourio already signed a contract extension. This shows how good of a job it was for the Padres to extend Jackson Merrill as early as they could, who, by the way, should be coming back today. Frank, have you seen a lineup yet?
I have not. I've been feverishly refreshing this page, and it is still not coming up with a lineup.
I do want to mention, because I didn't get to do it, bucket hat.
Adam was just for context on that.
It's reversible. You can get it at the game on Wednesday, May 14th against the Halos. Get your tickets at Padres.com. It's presented by UC San Diego Health. One size fits most. That can be worn 4 different ways. Worn as a 1984, 1998. Can't wait to have this in 20 years about the 2025 World Series champion Padres, huh?
Just for context of that,
Adam got the fryer on it.
Adam was outside of the studio when we came in to start the show, and that was the only thing Adam said to Braden was to promote the bucket hat.
That's right. This hour 97 through the fans brought to you by Frozen Ropes San Diego. Hey, parents, here's a message from your coach, Kurt. With Frozen Ropes, is your child 6 to 12 years old, our baseball summer league is the perfect fit for your player. Starting June 16th through August 17th, Summer League includes 8 practices, 8 games. Go to SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com and SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com. We're tied! Wow. Look at that, Frank.
A 90-year-old defenseman at Cherby. Let's go.
Can't wait for the penalty kicks. We might have to live stream that. Frank with the live reaction to Inter Milan and FC Barcelona. You'll have to tune into the show tomorrow to see what kind of state Frank is in. Is he going to be hungover on happiness? or emotionally distraught?
Probably both.
Is he filing a lawsuit to Inter Milan? We'll find out more on Wednesday. Stay tuned. Gwen and Chris coming up next. San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.2 The Fan.